undaunted leadership through the pitfalls and triumphs of a season of trials. But even as Dale Jarrett reaches for his dream, 42 others await in the Valley of the Sun.
Jeff Gordon has never won at Phoenix International Raceway, and with the absence of Ray Evernham and the fact that the Rainbow Warriors are jumping to the number 88 team next year, Gordon and Brian Weitzel would like nothing more than to turn turmoil into triumph once again. For Ward Burton, second place will not do. He has finished second to brother Jeff 3 times this year. And though Ward loves his brother, both he and his crew are weary of the consolation prize. Jeff Burton has doubled his career victory total this year, while for teammate Mark Martin, a victory today could ease the pain he has played with all season. And Dale Jarrett is consumed about winning this 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. It's a journey that started 10 months ago, 31 races ago, and 12,000 miles have been covered. But there are, in fact, 42 other drivers who are hoping for one piece of glory here as the 1999 season draws to a close.
Super rookie Tony Stewart has never looked over a fender at Phoenix International Raceway, but his track record here is nonetheless quite impressive. He has won the Copper World Classic in Silver Crown cars. He has dominated that event in midgets. And don't be surprised if he returns to victory lane today. Tony's teammate Bobby Labonte needs a win today to keep his title hopes alive. Mike Skinner has been searching for his first Winston Cup victory, and like Tony Stewart, he is no stranger to PIR. On February 5th, 1995, Skinner dueled to the line with Terry Labonte to capture the inaugural race in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. With the late season strength he has shown, he could find that first Winston Cup points win here today. Now, Mike Skinner in the number 31 car has made chassis adjustments to his machine as they get set to go racing here today. Bobby Labonte changed an engine this morning in the number 18. The one driver out of the 3 that made no changes is ready to go racing. Tony Stewart all set and ready to go here at Phoenix.
Time is running short on Ricky Rudd's bid to continue his streak of 16 consecutive seasons with the win. But don't forget October 29th, 1995, when he charged from the 29th starting slot here at Phoenix to keep the streak alive. And speaking of streaks, Rusty Wallace quenched his drought of 59 races without a win here last year when a strong run found him in the lead as the rain came to the desert. A victory today would be number 50 for Rusty. And there are a lot of other drivers as well who have come to the desert to try to quench their thirst for victory. Some of them have won a long time ago. Some of them have never won, like Rusty Wallace's brother Kenny right here. He's run strong lately, but still looking for that first victory. Mike Skinner also looking for victory number 1. A little bit further down the line, you got a couple of guys starting nose to tail here. Jimmy Spencer, car number 23, has not won since July of 1994. Right behind him, Bobby Hamilton has not won since April of 1998. All these stories and more, all the action live from Phoenix is coming your way next on TNN.
The NASCAR Winston Cup teams only come here once a year, but it's always great to come out to the desert and visit Phoenix International Raceway. And now we are set to try and put the capper on this season and potentially a championship for Dale Jarrett as the Checker Auto Parts Duralube 500 is here live on TNN Motorsports. Hi, everybody. I'm Eli Gold. And there you see the battle that everybody's been talking about, the battle for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. 1 through 5, they have been situated that way for much of the time. But look, there are other battles going on as well. There are some more points scrambles that we'll be talking about throughout the course of our coverage today, so you'll be informed as to who's doing the top 10. Now let's check out the starting grid for you. 6th place a year ago, John Andretti, he's on the pole first time this year. Jeff Gordon won here yesterday in the NASCAR Busch Series race. Jeffrey Bodine and Mark Martin, who won here in 1993. Dale Jarrett won here in 97. Bobby Labonte's never finished better than 8th here. That's an interesting thing. A lot of really good racers have never been able to master this racetrack.
Well, it's a tough place, and as well, this is the first time ever that we have seen the Busch Series run here, so they've only come here one time a year, and even the veterans have found this a very difficult course.
Tony Stewart's run here in open wheel competition. Kenny Wallace, a couple of top 5s in the last 4 races. Dale Earnhardt, the 1990 winner here, and he's got 3 wins already in 1999. Other fellows, you heard Glenn talk about Jimmy Spencer a while ago. And there's old Bobby Hamilton, buddy. We talked about some guys who like racetracks. Bobby just hates flat tracks and keeps running well out.
And absolutely, just what you said. He says he don't like them, but boy, he's a good chassis man. You know he can build these race cars from the ground up, so that's why he's so good. He knows what it takes to make them work.
David Green, Brett Bodine, 23rd and 24th respectively. Steve Park. Well, he's picked up 14 points in the standings in the second half of the season, Park has.
He's had a much better second half than the first half. Wait till he gets into year 2000. You're really going to see him shine.
I hope Darrell gets another picture for her next year. That Band-Aid across the nose, I don't know. It just takes something away from him. What do you think?
I respectfully choose not to comment because he can come up here and beat me up. There you see Jerry Nadeau, new paint scheme for Jeremy Mayfield. You get a better look at it as our day continues. And the remainder of the field on through those who have gained entry into today's starting lineup by virtue of provisional starting spots. Michael Waltrip didn't qualify here a year ago. He's in on the provisional. Stacy Compton for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Moving into NASCAR Winston Cup, and there is Derek Cope. One driver failing to qualify, and that is Mike Wallace, who could not come up with the speed to make the starting field here at Phoenix International Raceway. We've got 8 different teams giving us a ride around the racetrack today. Robert Presley from 33rd starting spot. We've got Bill Elliott and the McDonald's team giving us a lift around. There they are on the back straightaway through that little dog leg Buddy was telling me about. Kenny Irwin. New paint scheme for the Texaco Hamilton Ford. We'll show you that a bit later on. The X-Side machine. Jeff Burton. Tony Stewart will give us a look forward and backwards today. Bobby Labonte allowing us to peer in. Dale Jarrett, the point leader. And Mark Martin trying to chase him down as we get set to go racing. Glad you're tuned in here from Phoenix, Arizona on a beautiful day. Banking to help you out in the turns. John Andretti. And the Midas wall camera brought to you by Midas. Go safely. Go Midas. We'll have those cameras around the racetrack for you. Andretti leading. And remember, as we ride with Dale Jarrett now, the fact that our race leader, Andretti, has finished here in the last 3 years, or more appropriately, the 43 car in the last 3 years, has won the race, finished 3rd, and finished 6th.
Eli, what a war we have right here. The 2 car there, of course, is Rusty Wallace. There goes the Dale Earnhardt going down in the corner. These guys right now are waiting on the air pressure to come up in the tires. They drop the air pressure for later when the tires get a little hotter. Of course, the air pressure goes up, and they'll start handling the way they want them to. Right now, they're waiting on that.
The other thing they're going to wait for is their paycheck out of this event. $2.7 million in prize money, a record almost double what was paid here in '97, more than 5 times what the drivers earned when this place had its first Winston Cup race in 1988.
And nearly as much as Dr. Dick Berggren makes on a per annum basis.
Oh, he wishes.
Well, there's a guy that's going to make that per year. The 20 car there, Tony Stewart. This guy is magnificent on this racetrack. I was out here one year when he won in the Silver Crown car. He won in the midget car, and he had never been in a super modified car. He crawls in there and finishes 2nd.
Look at that 3 machine, that black car. Dale Earnhardt trying to scramble towards the front in 13th and challenging for 12th and 11th. You're right. Tony Stewart is just that good to get into a race car. But what does that other stuff mean, Dick? I mean, the fact that he's in a 1,200 or 1,500-pound car here with all sorts of horsepower, what does that mean for a big stock car on the same track?
Well, interestingly, usually they'd say it doesn't mean much of anything. But Tony says for this particular racetrack, for Phoenix, the balance issues are about the same. And he thinks that some of the things he learned running sprint cars, midgets, Indy cars, super modifieds here actually is going to help him this afternoon.
Dale Earnhardt would like for these two guys to quit running side by side so he can make a challenge toward the front. He's kind of pinned in right now with Kenny Wallace and Stewart are fighting it out. He's got nowhere to go. He's going back and forth trying to find a hole to get by.
Glenn Earnhardt looks like he's faster in that group than the other guys.
Yeah, Eli, when they started this race, it was a total crapshoot. I talked to Kevin Hamlin, the crew chief, earlier this morning. They changed everything under that car except the left rear spring, all the chassis components. They just were not satisfied yesterday after happy hour. He said we're either going to be real good or we're going to be terrible. We'll know pretty quick. Looks like they made the right changes.
And you see already the car's sliding a little bit, skating around.
Yeah, and his chrome horn's working pretty good too. He gives Stewart a little shot there to let him know I'm here, don't pull over. And Kenny Wallace just got a little nudge too. Earnhardt's definitely on the move.
Here he goes around Stewart in the 20, inside of the 55. Kenny Wallace, different paint scheme than you're used to seeing for Kenny. And Earnhardt finally makes those passes, so he's up to 11th spot now.
Kenny Wallace is running the best race car he's got in the stable. That's the same car he finished second with at New Hampshire. That's his career best. He also finished 5th in that car at Martinsville Speedway.
Here's Jeff Burton riding with him right now, back in 15th spot.
Yeah, he won't be there long. He's the type of guy that goes faster and faster as they go along. He sets his car up for long runs. You can see he's starting to move towards the front now.
Just underway, 8 laps into the race that goes 312 laps, 500 kilometers. Take a look at what happened moments ago. Little action involving Mike Skinner. There you see he and Wally Dallenbach, the Lowe's and Bud cars, bumping into the corner.
Now that probably had a little something to do with something on the back straightaway, and that was just a little return there.
Outside groove doesn't necessarily work. Let's see if Jeff Burton's car can get the bite off the corner.
Oh yeah, the car is definitely hooked in. You can see it has good straightaway speed too. That's the one thing that a lot of people don't realize about Burton's car. They say, boy, does he get faster as it goes along. He's got a nice power plant in that race car every week too.
Jeff Burton's in 13th spot. Meanwhile, John Andretti, who has never led at Phoenix International Raceway, has erased that blemish from his resume as he's led from the get-go. We're now 10 laps complete in the Valley of the Sun. There is leader at Phoenix International Raceway by 1 2/10 seconds, John Andretti. Hope you've had a chance, and if not, you still have time to join the online community on TNNRacing.com for our last live webcast of the year from right here in Phoenix. By logging on, you can use your computer as a scanner, listen into the drivers and their crew chiefs. You can ride along with the top 3 guys in points, get their in-car views. TNNRacing.com, your all-access interactive garage pass to the Checker Auto Parts Duralube 500K. Yeah, look at that. Jeffrey Bodine fast of the lot right now, guys. He's running in 3rd.
Eli, he's had a great car all weekend. He qualified very well, and right now he's catching Gordon a little bit. Mark Martin's riding right along with him there. Pretty good race up front. All the way around, these guys are starting to find their pack that they're going to run with until they make their first pit stop. I am impressed with Mark Martin. He's just riding right behind the front group there, kind of biding his time.
Of course, Dick, Mark has not been off the speed charts all weekend.
He has been in the top 4 in every single practice session qualifying. He has been an absolute rocket here since they unloaded that race car. We expected Mark Martin to be a factor today, and he sure is early on. Jeffrey's having a great run of that number 60 car in front of him, though. That's the same car he finished third at Martinsville in. The team is really pumped for this race. They know a great, great day is just around the corner. It may be today.
And there you see the 88 starting to make some moves.
Yeah, and he's following right along behind the guys chasing him in the points right now, Bobby Labonte. So he's kind of keeping an eye on his competition as they go along here.
Again, you see the points. 371 of a lead would be enough to clinch here today. If Jarrett leads with a lead of 303 points, he would merely have to show up and start at Homestead, Florida next week, and Atlanta, Georgia in a couple weeks' time, and the championship would be his.
Eli, that's like playing chess right now. He's got his competition right inside. He's about 2 car lengths back, and he's kind of in a comfort zone right there. Ricky Rudd, on the other hand, desperately wants to keep his string of wins going, and he's running very well here.
And so is Jeff Burton. But right now, Steve, you got to like the way Jarrett's just taking his time early.
Eli, Buddy Baker was exactly right. In fact, we just heard Todd Parrott talking to Dale, and he said, be smooth, just be easy on the brakes. Dale is reporting that the car is just a little bit tight in the center of the corner, and otherwise the car is handling pretty well.
You know, it's going to be very interesting, and granted, we're still early, only 21 laps in, but it'll be interesting on a slick track on a very warm day. What happens if we don't have many cautions like yesterday in the Outback Steakhouse 200? We'll find out in a hurry who's got it and who doesn't.
Yeah, we have not had a lot of cautions at this particular event the last 2 years.
Right.
We've just had 4 each. Overall, since 1988, we've averaged 6.45 cautions, which is exactly the number of cautions we've averaged for the entire 1999 Winston Cup season. So not many cautions recently, but this race does have a history of yellow flags flying.
See that outside groove working still for Jeff Burton. Goes around Kyle Petty, as you saw moments ago. So Burton is now in 9th and has picked up 9 positions. Jeremy Mayfield on the move. Kevin LePage, Chad Little. Look at that. You had 3 Jack Roush cars in that graphic moving up to 8 or 9 positions respectively.
You know, I think we're going to come down. If they keep going like you're going, the racing conditions are perfect right now. We have a little overcast over the racetrack, keeping the racing surface from getting too slick. And if they go like they're going and don't have a lot of caution, those guys will get great gas mileage, just like at Loudon. Those guys that can go that pit window, not going 90 miles, but going 100 laps here. Those are the guys you've got to keep your eyes on.
And the guys who have the car set up for long runs, those who can manage to conserve their tires, so at the end of those long runs, the car is still fast relative to the others.
And the guy we're riding with, Jeff Burton, back in '98, remember, 4th place from a 38th place start. How many times has he done that over the last couple of years, huh? And now he is quickest of the lot. You saw Jeff making the outside groove work. He went by Kyle Petty, and Kyle's not a guy to take lightly here because he has finished as high as 3rd here in the patch.
And the other thing is teammates leading the race, and they do combine notes, so he has a good setup, so don't count him out either.
We got one more bit of information as well. Adam Petty ran the Busch Series race yesterday, so he picked up some notes from that event, which he has shared with his dad and also with John Andretti.
That's 11th place on your screen now with Rusty Wallace and the man with whom you're riding, Tony Stewart. Rusty, the winner here last year in the rain-shortened event. And he's another guy. We touched on him very briefly before as you see the battle for the 11th spot. But Rusty has won at New Hampshire, flat track. Milwaukee, flat track. The mild dirt in DuQuoin, Illinois, he was telling me he's won there, flat track. But here goes Stu grabbing 11th spot away from Rusty.
And we talked about these guys, and I think Tony Stewart is another guy. When you go to Loudon or here, any place that's a racetrack that's got this kind of corners on it, I tell you, he's always lightning fast, and for some reason he and his crew chief really have good notes, and the car runs well on these types of tracks.
But nobody is doing it better than that man right now, the King's driver, John Andretti. Richard, your guy's up by 1 4/10 seconds. There is the race leader, John Andretti, here at the Checker Auto Parts Duralube 500. Hope you got a chance to log on to TNN's home on the World Wide Web, country.com. You know the slogan, your personal source for all things country. Indeed, that's the case. From race cars to country stars. Connect to country.com. Just 8/10 of a second. Just 8/10 of a second from that man back to the the second-place pursuer, Jeff Gordon. And interestingly, in the corner of late, Gordon has been taking a bit of a different groove than has the leader, Andretti.
Well, that's the one thing I've noticed about Jeff Gordon. If he can't do it right around the bottom of the racetrack, he'll try it high anywhere the car hooks up. Down in turns one, watch him as he goes in right on the yellow line. Now watch him go way up the racetrack there where Bodine's trying to run right against the yellow line getting in the corner.
And yesterday, if you were with us on the Busch Series race, remember that Jeff Gordon was set up for the longer runs, and now we're 34 laps in. That would qualify as a longer run, and hence he is quickest.
Well, he better get going because Jeffrey Bodine is beginning to put a little heat on him, and the closer he gets, if Gordon has a pushing problem, which it looks like he might have right now, it's going to make it worse. As he gets closer, he makes him run up the racetrack, as we see right there. Jeffrey Bodine is fixing to put some heat on Jeff Gordon.
That's the problem a lot of teams were worried about in the garage this morning, that the car would begin to push as the day wore on. And Gordon coming out in both turns, out in 4 and also out in 2, is pushing up.
There's a 12th place battle on your screen. Dale Earnhardt in the 3, Rusty Wallace in the 2. No battle anymore. That one changed hands very, very quickly. Ralph, all of a sudden, Earnhardt's hooked up, particularly through the corners.
Eli, there's 3 segments to a corner: the entrance, the center, which is also known as the apex, and the exit. Dale was having a lot of troubles in the center of the corner. The car was very tight from the center of the corner off. He adjusted his line and basically did the same thing that Jeff Gordon did. He started to move that black number 3 higher up the racetrack, and that improved his lap time.
Certainly is working, as you see NASCAR timing and scoring, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. We keep America running. 27th spot on your screen right now. The 28, Kenny Irwin in the Texaco Haviland machine. Bit of a different look to that race car. Sterling Marlin in the 40. That paint scheme riding with Kenny Irwin right now, kind of reminiscent of the old hot rod paint schemes from the 50s and the 60s. I don't know if you think the same. There you see it right there. A little combination of that fiery blend of the black and the red and the yellow.
It's going to have some green on it in just a second. I'm watching Chad Little, and he's all over the quarter panel of the 28 car of Kenny Irwin.
Going into the corner again. Different grooves. Chad Little wants to grab 28th if he can.
You're wondering how Dale Jarrett's crew is taking the pressure of running for a championship last night just before the lights went out at the garage. Todd Parrott was over working on that number 28 car, their team car, trying to help them along with the chassis, make the car a bit better. Pressure? What pressure? Let's just go faster.
Kenny Irwin's paint job there, promoting Haviland Formula 3 and that new Texaco Express Lube. We're seeing a lot of the sponsors now starting to do that with new paint schemes late in the season. Inside of Brett Bodine. That's for 27.
Ward Burton also in that mix there. You see him in that cap car there, the 22. He just moved into action here. They were fighting it out side by side. He ran them down there.
They've been trying to go 3 wide here for about 5 or 6 laps. If they make it, they're going to manage to have a crash as well. This is not a good place to run 3 wide through the corners, but there sure has been some attempts at that.
Again, keeping an eye on this battle back in 27th spot. That's Ward Burton inside of the Paychex car of Brett Bodine, grabbing a spot there. All the while, the leader is at the other end of the racetrack, and he's in a bunch of traffic. John Andretti has now just 4/10 of a second of a lead. There he is in the middle there. There's John. Jeff Gordon right behind, trying to put a lap on Robert Presley, having already lapped Stacy Compton in the number 9.
What these cars are hooked up like the car 43, and what's happening right now is it looks to me like Jeff Gordon's getting through traffic just a little bit better. He's closing in now. But what happens, you try to time them where you can catch them coming out of the corner. Sometimes you can't anticipate where they're going, but you could have a 10-second lead and run up behind a group of cars racing and lose that 10 seconds faster than you think.
There's a view that Robert Presley wishes he didn't have from a lap down. He was running with the race leaders. Let's see what kind of numbers Robert is turning, comparing that to the lead machine, right at 8,000 RPMs.
That's the brake right there. When you see that light come on, that means he's riding the brake getting into the corner, and a break here as Mark Martin goes by on the outside.
Speed about 140, 150 for a little tick there. But overall, Robert is averaging only 120 miles an hour. This guy, Mark Martin, his last lap was 122 miles an hour. So that's the disparity, about 2, and Andretti 3 miles an hour different than what Robert Presley was turning.
And I talked to some of the people like Mark Martin, and I said, what are you guys turning? They said almost 9,000 down the straightaway. So apparently Presley's off just a little bit.
Bobby Labonte is in 5th, car 18. They're going around the 41 of Derek Cope in that Kodiak car. There you see the spread from 5th Labonte forward 1 2/10 seconds to the leader, John Andretti. Started from the Bud pole, and that's Robbie Loomis, Andretti's crew chief. We're coming right back. Welcome back. The leader is still John Andretti. Started from the pole, has led these first 50 laps. Nobody has touched him. Jeff Gordon got close. I have Jeff Burton on the mind because he is still the quickest car on the racetrack. As you see Andretti trying to put a lap on 38th place man Dave Marcus. There's the 99 right there. Jeff Burton trying to move inside of the Michael Waltrip machine. Michael's already a lap down in 40th in car number 7. Glenn Jarrett, Burton taking a bit of a higher line, and we're seeing some other guys do the same thing. Maybe that's the way around today.
Well, he has consistently been the quickest car on the track. He's in traffic right now. It's slowed him down a little bit, but for the last 20 laps or so, I've been watching Jeff, and he's got a good race car. He's always good on the long run. He has come from 18th all the way up to 8th. And earlier on, when Jeff Gordon moved up the racetrack, Brian Weitzel had seen Jeff Burton and how fast he was running, and a little bit higher up on the racetrack, he told Jeff Gordon to try that line. It didn't work as well for Gordon as it does for Jeff Burton, but I tell you what, on the long run, that 99 car is awfully hard to beat. He's showing it right now.
Glenn, you're exactly right. And the one thing they do, the reason that might not work for Gordon quite right now is because he didn't do that in practice. I would say that probably started yesterday, getting ready to run a little bit higher because you know lap cars are going to run the bottom of the racetrack. And I would say that Jeff Burton probably moved to the higher line and set his car up to do what he's doing right now.
Jeff Burton systematically marching to the front. He's got Ricky Rudd just ahead of him in that Tide machine, running in 7th.
And John Andretti's also running a much higher line now than he was as recently as 10 laps ago. Apparently the word's getting out that upstairs is a fast way to go. There goes Ricky Rudd upstairs also.
Yeah, Ricky said, if you caught me, I want to see why. And he moved up, and he had great grip through that corner. But this is the guy I'd want to try to set up my car to run like right now. I think that John Andretti is clearly the fastest car out there because he's getting through lap traffic. He goes up there, he takes his time, and when he really gets after it, he moves away.
Mark Martin is in 4th. Around Dave Marcus. He will go. You're also seeing now, after that cloud cover that Buddy talked about before, now the sun comes out. Then there will be a cloud come overhead. It may not be quite as changeable a track as, for instance, the one you have in Charlotte. But it's a handful out here in the desert as you see everybody picking their way around traffic. Martin and Labonte, 4th and 5th, respectively.
Riding with Bobby Labonte down into turns 1, you see Mark Martin just to the left of him as they come off. Watch this wall come right out against those cars. That's coming off turns 2. Looks to me like Bobby Labonte's wanting to move up too. His car is very good.
Bobby won the pole here a few years ago, led 56 laps back in 1996, but Glenn had to settle for a 9th that day.
Right now, Bobby Labonte is earlier on in the race. He was talking about the car being very tight in the center of the corner. But what's happened now is that the tires have worn off. The car is still pushing a little bit going in, and they're having to turn the wheel so sharp that it's breaking the car loose when he gets back in the throttle to come off the corner. So the biggest problem he's fighting right now is that the car is very, very loose. He says he can't touch the accelerator getting up off the corners. Here's Steve Burns.
Hey, thanks, Glenn. A little while ago, Dick Bergman talked about the number 60 of Jeffrey Bodine and noted that the car had run at Loudon, Martinsville, Richmond. Crew Chief Jim Long told me that they hope to run the car next week at Homestead as well. if the car doesn't finish in one piece, he said he's got a third shift waiting back in the shop to fix it. You know, a while ago, I asked Buddy Baker how a driver gets a favorite car, and he said, you ever had a favorite pair of shoes?
And that's true.
Buddy.
That's true. And right now, you can see Jeffrey Bodine moving in on the 24, Jeff Gordon. But one thing that's happening right now, one car is a little bit quicker as the sun right now is not on the speedway. We have cloud cover. Just a second ago, the sun was out, and another car was a little bit quicker. But it seems when the sun goes in, that Jeffrey Bodine's car really gets going.
Jeffrey has 6 top 10s here in the 11 races, never a top 5 finish. And look at Mark Martin coming through as well in the 6. So put Bodine up to second now. Hasn't been in this lofty a territory since winning at Watkins Glen back in August of 1996. Last time he won a NASCAR Winston Cup race.
Well, let's give that whole crew credit for their accomplishment today. Remember, this team was assembled literally on the eve of the Daytona 500. They put together a group of people, bought some used race cars. They started out the year running behind, and what a great job they have done.
And as we look down from our helicopter shot there, you can see them going around. We're paying attention to these 3 cars, but just behind them, our points leader, Dale Jarrett, is running very, very well just behind this group. You see him just behind them there, running that comfort zone we talked about.
There's Dale Jarrett, 2 8/10 seconds back. Still sitting in 6th.
You know, we always talk about good flat track drivers, and there's not a person out there any better than Dale Jarrett on this type of racetrack. He has that able to wait and let the car work through the center part of the corner, and then when he gets back on it, he has that ability to keep from breaking the rear tires loose. He has a lot of patience when it comes to driving a race car, and that's why he's where he's at in the points right now.
Riding with Tony Stewart. He's in 8th, just ahead of Jeff Burton, who's in 9th. Kyle Petty running 10th. Ralph, solid run for Tony.
Oh, Eli, they're watching the clocks right now, and Tony said, are they backing up to us? He said they just got within 4 seconds. He said, I told you I wanted to slick up.
He knows what he's talking about. Again, a guy who has run here in the past, Tony Stewart. Jeff Burton still right there as well. He is half a second behind the man just ahead of him. But all these guys are 5 seconds behind that man, John Andretti, as the STP colors are where folks are used to seeing it over the years. Out in front at a NASCAR Winston Cup race. Marshall Teague drove a Hudson Hornet to victory at the 1-mile dirt track over at the fairgrounds. You could have found out that fact and many others at that computer address, NASCAR.com. NASCAR Online is your 24-hour NASCAR Garage Pass. We'll be online after the race today, taking some of your questions and talking about the running of this Checker Auto Parts Duralube 500. Hope you can join us later today on NASCAR Online. And remember, folks, if you're looking to get that special Christmas gift for Buddy or for Dick or any of us. Remember NASCAR Thunder? It is the all-new and official store of NASCAR. Locations all across the country now. Just call that number you see on the screen and find out where the store nearest to you is, and they'll be glad to help you out with any of your holiday gift shopping needs. NASCAR Thunder, the official store of NASCAR. We've seen Ricky Craven in. There is Johnny Benson in for service. Glenn Jarrett, as far as the leaders are concerned. We're at lap 70 now. What are we looking at for pit stops?
Eli, we should see them anytime between the next 20 to 23 or 24 laps. Most of the crew chiefs told me this morning that they thought they could go about 95, but they wouldn't try it that far on the very first stop because of all the caution laps or pace laps that they ran before the race started. So somewhere between lap 85 and 95, you should see most of the guys come in. The only exception, Jeffrey Bodine. Jim Long told me that they could only go 79 to 80 laps. He's having a great run, but if he can't go any further than that, it may hurt him before the day's over.
That's 5th place on your screen, coming right into your living room. Tony Stewart.
Boy, I'm going to tell you what, that's a Pistol Pete of racing right now. I tell you, he's the hottest thing I've seen on a racetrack in a long time. Tony Stewart just went up there and passed 3 cars like they were backing up to him. I just, every time I look at him, they call him a rookie.
Yeah.
That's like calling A.J. Ford a rookie.
Remember
This
when
guy
AJ
is a
had to
freight
take?
driver.
Remember when AJ had to take his rookie test at Darlington back many years ago after winning all these 500? I wonder what Tony feels like in the car, though, as we see Dale Jarrett and we look forward towards Labonte and Stewart. I wonder what Tony Stewart feels like having gone around this racetrack in 7 seconds more rapidly in other forms of cars than he is in this one here. Well, he's loving him. He's caught up now to Gordon.
Just went by Gordon. You see what I'm talking about. When he gets on a roll, and let me tell you, 7 seconds with that much rubber on the ground, I guarantee he's driving harder right now. This car, it's not handling like those cars with about 6 or 7 inches more rubber per tire down on the racetrack.
He said that Indy car that he would just lift going into the first turn the tiniest little bit. The rest of the way around here, he was wide open. You can't do that in a Winston Cup car. You've really got to finesse the car. There's a lot of steering wheel activity that goes on, throttle activity, and even brake activity, buddy.
He was going around here in 20 seconds in that car, 27 seconds in the NASCAR Winston Cup.
He looks like he's doing it now.
Yeah.
That's Mark Martin, one of the best drivers on this type of racetrack, and he just goes up there and goes right on by. Look at him in the corners here now. He's not on the Sunday Cruise. Said, thank you for letting me by there. Mark Martin, a very respectful driver.
Like Mark had a lot of choice.
Yeah. But look at him in the corner. He made one turn there. His hands is still. My road car does not drive that good. Oh, wait a minute. I take that back. That's where he earns his money. Now he's thinking about talking to his crew there.
Either that or he's reaching for the horn.
And there's no horn.
Inside of Kevin LePage, who is a lap down in 33rd spot in car number 16.
Well, he said something very interesting today before we got into the race. He said he really got to credit Craig Zipadelli for getting this car set up so well that off the truck he's very confident. As a result, as they try to prepare the car for the race, Tony Stewart's not at all concerned about trying things, and by being able to try different spring and shock combinations, they are able, as a team, to come up with something that works as well as what we're watching now.
If you're a Bill Elliott fan, we'll tell you he has made a pit stop at lap number 76, and there he is leaving the pit lane after service from the McDonald's drive-through crew.
Eli, one guy that's really going backwards right now is Jeff Gordon. He's all the way back to 9th right now. He's really wrestling that race car, and I mean, when it went bad, it really went bad. He's really dropping back.
Actually hasn't led a lap here since 1994 in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. His best Winston Cup finish here is a 4th place. Of course, had no trouble yesterday winning the NASCAR Busch Series event, but can't always equate one to the next.
Well, and I'll tell you something about that yesterday. He had a great race car from start to end. I think right now he's struggling a little bit. That car is not hooking up the way he wants it to. Maybe they can adjust it, but right now, Jeff Gordon's in trouble.
What do you think, all the talk about crew members leaving next year and all of that? Whether we agree or disagree, we're not to judge that, but what does that do to the cohesiveness of that racing family with 3 races to go? Just the talk of guys leaving.
It's almost like a hunger pain. You get used to doing things a certain way, and all of a sudden, you know, everything's starting to pull apart on Jeff Gordon, and that has to bother him to some degree.
Well, it bothers the rest of the team as well, and you know, it's kind of like a wife cheating on her husband. They're really unhappy. They're really unhappy that those guys are leaving. They had a very cohesive, a very successful team, and I think everybody would like very much to have stayed together, but it hasn't happened. And feelings are pretty strong right now.
Right now, the leader working through traffic. You see John Andretti in the 43. Jeffrey Bodine in 2nd right behind him. You need tools? We've got them for you here at Phoenix. Pit stops coming up. Welcome back, everybody. You're here in time to see Tony Stewart go for the lead in the 15th different event this year that he has shown the pace.
Pontiac to Pontiac as they go down the front straightaway side by side. John Andretti does not want to give up the lead, but Tony Stewart is so very good out of the corner.
And kind of like Mark Martin before, who had no choice in the matter, the same for John Andretti, who will yield the lead at lap number 86. So Andretti leads 1 through 85. Lap number 86 will be Tony Stewart taking the top spot here at Phoenix International Raceway. We are seeing pit stops take place now. Moments ago, how did Stewart get to even be within shouting distance of the lead? Well, he made a stop inside, or a pass inside of Jeffrey Bodine.
Wow. I'm going to tell you, he was 5 miles an hour faster in the center part of the corner there than Jeffrey Bodine. And when you're right, you're right. In this car, they've got a great flat track setup. And Tony Stewart, like I said, one of the hottest drivers out there. And being young and ambitious as he is right now, he's writing a chapter in our sport that hadn't been written before. We thought Jeff Gordon was hot. This guy's just as hot as he was.
And Ralph, it doesn't seem as though Tony's affected by sun or cloud cover.
No, Eli, right now he doesn't at all. Greg Zipadelli giving signals out to Richard Childress. Let's find out about this car. Boy, Greg, the car seems great in the long runs. Is that what you had planned, and how did you get to that setup?
Well, we were just kind of hoping that the sun would stay out and it would get pretty slick. Tony really likes this boy. He's got a really good car yesterday in practice. It seems to be pretty strong in the long runs. It kind of just doesn't back up.
Glenn?
Okay, Ralph, we just got word on the radio that Jeff Gordon has reported in to Brian Weissel. He is out of fuel, so he should be coming down pit road just as quick as he can get there. But it's sputtering pretty bad right now. He says he's running out, so he will be in this lap. We're also hearing that the 20 is out of fuel, too, so they're trying to stretch him just a little too far.
And this happens at lap number 90. You see the 43 Andretti and the 20 of Tony Stewart, handing the lead now over to Bobby Labonte, who has yet to make a stop. Steve?
And Dale Jarrett just came in. Eli got 4 tires. They made a chassis adjustment to the left rear corner of the number 88 car. Mark Martin has got service as well back on the track. Glenn Jarrett.
And Jeff Gordon was in a great pit stop, 17.2 seconds. And here's 43 in the pits right now also. Gordon had changed 4 tires, as will John Andretti. Robbie Loomis told me that the 43 car was pretty good, but they were going to try to tighten it up just a little bit. It got a little loose right at the end of that run. We've got the clock on them right now. They're around to the left side. The left side tires are off and going on. And John is down and away. Wow, super pit stop, 17.1.
That means Steve Park is now the race leader because he has not yet made his stop in the Pennzoil machine. You see Dale Earnhardt in for service. Elliott Sadler coming in. There is the race leader, Steve Park, who is showing the way here. Only the 5th different race this year that he has led.
And he'll be coming in right now. He's headed down pit road.
There's Bobby Labonte. He's in for service. Ralph?
Eli, they put on 4 tires and filled up Tony Stewart. They were ready to spray it into the carburetor, keep him going. They got him handled and got him back underway. The 18 car handing into the pit stops as well.
And as Glenn was talking about pit stops there and how great the John Andretti pit stop was, he's almost a full straightaway ahead of Tony Stewart now.
All of these stops are under green. We have had no cautions yet today. That man, John Andretti, led the first 85 laps. Tony Stewart led the next 3. Then Bobby Labonte led a lap. Then Steve Park led a lap. And that's where we are right now as Park has come in to make his pit stop at lap number 91. So Dale Jarrett, now the race leader. We're here at lap number 92. And there is Jarrett picking up 5 bonus points for leading a lap here at Phoenix and stretching his lead atop the NASCAR Winston Cup Series standings. Well, everything is settled down. Dale Jarrett is the race leader. Mark Martin is second. Third is John Andretti. Jeff Burton is running 4th, and Jeffrey Bodine 5th. Taking you a little further back, Ricky Rudd is 6th. Bobby Labonte 7th. Kyle Petty is running 8th. 9th is Tony Stewart. Jeff Gordon is 10th. And you'll see the full rundown up there on the upper left-hand corner of the screen, so you'll know where your favorites are after that round of green flag pit stops. Joining us in the booth, DreamWorks recording artist Toby Keith, who sang the national anthem here at Phoenix International Raceway today. Good to see you. How you doing?
Boys, you're hectic up here.
Yeah, a little bit. You walked into the middle of pit stops.
Yes, sir.
What is this your first visit to this racetrack?
Yeah, and I've got businesses here in the Phoenix community, and I've never been out here when this was going on. That's pretty impressive.
How's the new album doing? I know, how do you like me now? Hit the stores just the other day.
Yeah, hit Tuesday. We're really expecting it to do really well, and the single's really doing good, so I couldn't be more happy. It's album number 6. As long as they keep letting me make music, I'm cool.
I guess you have, what, 6 #1 records over the years since 1993 when you debuted. That's consistency. That kind of number in this sport gets you a championship.
Oh, does it? Well, we don't have championships in our business. We just have great fans and get to make great music. So if they let me keep doing that, then I'll be happy.
Well, listen, it's great having you with us, Toby. It's good to see you, and all the very best. And thanks for being part of the day here at Phoenix.
All right, you guys don't blow a valve up here now.
All right, guy.
All right.
Take care of yourself. Toby Keith joining us. And again, his new CD and the album, How Do You Like Me Now, in stores effective this past week. So check it out. It's available to you right now. Speaking of championships, as we were with Toby, there's an update on the point standings right now, 275. And again, you see the reference numbers there on the bottom of your screen to refresh your memory as to what DJ Dale Jarrett needs to do to try and leave here with a championship, or at least with things pretty well wrapped up heading to Homestead in Atlanta.
Eli is doing what he's done all year. He's raced. He's not just sitting out there riding. He's racing. He's leading this race. And that's what he told everyone in the he had a press conference here the other day, and he said, I want my guys to really be nervous. I want them to enjoy the moment, because how many people get to run for the national title? He said, I want them to be excited, and we want to race. We want to win races. We don't want to ride and win.
Yeah, and he repeated what he said at Rockingham as well. He said, the only way I'm going to be sure I don't lose any points is win the race. So that has been the strategy all along. Set up to win, drive the car to win. And right now, unbelievable. Dale Jarrett has just put Terry Labonte a lap down.
Glenn, is all of that just talk, though? Have you noticed, as much time as you spend with your brother, you travel with him and so on, have you noticed the fact that he's the same, or is he getting a little edgier?
No, he's been okay, Eli. He's really handling this well. I tell you what, the things that he told the crew are pretty much true for him. We're taking a look at Jeffrey Bodine right there with the number 60 car, continuing to monitor the great day that he's having right now. He started up in the top 3. He's still in 5th place. Lost a couple of spots on that pit stop. They didn't have a bad pit stop. The other guys just had one maybe just a little bit better, but they made no changes to the car. Here's Ralph.
Glenn, the 18 car was tight in the middle of the corner and loose coming off the corner, so they lowered the track bar, and they're trying to work on the forward bite of the car. And Eli, they hope to have that car sorted out now.
All right, thanks a lot, Ralph. And I dare say there's plenty of time. Although you don't know, we're already 106 miles in. We've had not a single caution. So you never know. This race is just flying right by. But there's still time to tweak on those race cars.
John Andretti has company now. Mark Martin must have made some air pressure adjustments on that car, because he has really picked it up. You see the 43 jump a little bit sideways as he got back in the throttle in the center of the corner. And Jeff Burton is right behind this bunch. So this is starting to pick it up. You see Mark Martin able to stay right on the yellow line. He's going to make the pass on John Andretti.
Riding with Jeff Burton. He's in 4th.
Amazing how two of those Roush cars always seem to be up front, no matter where we go, what kind of racetrack. The 6 and the 99. As the race wears on, there they are, in contention to win the thing.
Well, and the sun, as you can see on the racetrack there, is really on the pavement now. It's going to heat up, and the cars with the great balance are going to go out front.
That's what you talked about on the pre-race segment of our telecast, the balance you have to have on these cars. In the garage area, Derek Cope. There you see the Kodiak machine. They've just taken their car to the garage area as the first retiree of the afternoon. So the Kodiak team with early problems, as again we watched that 3rd and 4th place scramble with Burton getting the better of John Andretti that last time by.
It's amazing when you make the changes. Sometimes it hurts you a little bit, and I think John Andretti probably made some little small changes on the chassis, and he's not getting the great grip that he had before.
And that battle there is 4 seconds behind Dale Jarrett all of a sudden. So once Jarrett got himself to the front, he's just set sail. Remember the 94 Bill Elliott there. He is not on the lead lap. He's in 31st, a lap down. While the 6, Mark Martin, is on the lead lap in 2nd.
Kind of figured Mark was going to have a big day here. Of all the drivers in today's race, none have a better finishing average than Mark Martin. There is, however, one driver not in today's race who did even better than that, a fellow named Alan Kulwicki, who had a 5.2 average finish. That's the best of anyone who has ever run at Phoenix International Raceway. Kulwicki won the very first race ever held here in the Winston Cup division. And this sport sure does miss him. Lost him in a tragic airplane crash.
Back in 1988, Allen was the winner here. There is Dale Jarrett. While we've got a second, want to say hello to C.C. Cunningham, been a long-time member of the TNN's family, and C.C. is in the hospital battling some health problems, and we wish him the very best. Want to say hello to Adele Marchant. She is the 4-year-old daughter of our executive producer, Patty Wheeler. And Adele had a brief visit to the hospital last week, but she is back home. She's doing okay, and we wish her a speedy recovery and want to see Patty back at the racetrack. And certainly, we would not be able to do anything for the remainder of the day if I don't say happy anniversary to our producer, Joel McKee, and his wife, Kathy, celebrating their 13th anniversary here today. And what better group to celebrate it with than their TNN family here.
I want cake myself. I want some stuff, you know?
Happy anniversary, guys. We are 113 laps in. That man's up by 3.5 seconds. Dale Jarrett leads at Phoenix with the TNN crew bringing you the pictures. We are back at Phoenix International Raceway watching a good scramble. The 20 is Tony Stewart. The 60 is Jeffrey Bodine. The 10 is Ricky Rudd. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th positions. Tony Stewart just blew right by Ricky a few moments ago.
Yeah, and we got a report from the pits just a second ago when he passed the 3 cars there. Just one right after another. He just let out a big yee-haw. Man, when it's hooked up, it's so much fun to drive a race car.
And if you're just tuning in, indeed, we are caution-free. About a third of the way in, over a third of the way into the Checker Auto Parts Duralube 500K.
Too bad we can't have more than one winner today. You know, you go around this racetrack and you look at all these guys. Wouldn't it be nice to see Jeffrey Bodine finally win one and get that off his back, and see Ricky Rudd have another one so he can keep his streak going, and John Andretti win today as well.
Meanwhile, we told you Derek Cope, who finished trouble. Caution. Brett Bodine.
Caution's out. Caution is out.
Brett Bodine, who is running in 30th spot, tagging the wall, lap 120.
Eli, it looks like the right front corner is down on that car. You see the sparks there where the tire's off. You see the right front flat there. He's just trying to get back, and he got into the wall pretty hard there. The right side's flat.
He's had just no luck at all here. The very first race ever held at Phoenix, Brett crashed, DNF'd. He was the first one out of this race last year. Now he's in the wall again.
And we were about to say that Derek Cope, who finished second here 4 years ago, is watching all of this from the garage area. Steve, what's their problem?
Eli, they've got the hood up. Donnie Disharoon and the guys trying to get the car ready. Derek, what's the situation here?
Well, I think we've broken a rocker arm in the Kodiak Chevrolet. We were struggling early with the chassis. We got to change. The car worked pretty good, and then I lost a cylinder going down the back chute. So we're just trying to repair that and get back out.
You hear the word from Derek Cope and the Kodiak team with their problems in the garage area. And Brett Bodine's crew looking over the paychecks Ford. And pit stops, the name of the game. You see the field staying on the track, those on the lead lap electing to stop at lap number 122. That's what the lap count will be as they cross the stripe. Lap 122. The leaders are coming in.
Boy, there'll be a lot of changes made. Some of the cars that were not so fast with this long caution here, they ought to be able to make the adjustments and get their cars a lot better now. So we'll have some new heroes when we go back to green.
Ralph, you start.
Eli, they're taking right side tires right now on Dale Jarrett. They come around to work on the left side of this car. The 88's been running awfully strong right now. Everything nice and smooth with their pit stop. They sneak out. They're very pleased with their time. 16.6, Glenn. That's a solid stop.
Yeah, it is. He just goes by John Andretti, and John Andretti had wow, we got about a 16.1 second stop down here for John Andretti, but Dale Jarrett still beat him out. Andretti's car had gotten loose on that set of tires. They made a chassis adjustment to the right rear, try to snug him up.
So pit stops in the 16-second range for all of those lead machines. And again, the reason we're under caution, this problem for Brett Bodine.
Okay, the tire's flat there. He has the tire. You can see he's trying to stay off the wall. He goes up and hits. That's about as easy as you can hit the wall here at Phoenix. He got it turned a little bit. He stayed off the brake where he kept the car flat instead of going in head first.
So we are under caution for the first time in the Valley of the Sun. Mark Martin is the race leader by virtue of the speedy pit work by Jimmy Fennig and the crew. We continue in just a moment. Getting set to go back to green in just a half mile on pit road. We've had some collisions as these teams are getting off the pit lane. Glenn, what have you found out in the Steve Park, Jeffrey Bodine get-together?
Well, it was actually, now we just found out that it was the Jeffrey Bodine, Rusty Wallace, then Steve Park. They left pit road 3 wide. There just wasn't enough room. And when Jeffrey got into the side of the left front of Rusty Wallace, cut the valve stem right out of that brand new Goodyear tire. So the tire went flat, had some sheet metal damage, and Jeffrey had to bring the car back in. They think they have got the damage fixed. They're not. They don't think that it messed up the toe end. He had a great race car. We certainly hope not. We're going green.
So the trifecta there, Jeffrey Bodine, Steve Park, Rusty Wallace, and we are back to work with the race leader being Mark Martin. If you're a Derek Cope fan, he's back on the racetrack 29 laps down. You heard the problems he detailed to Steve a few moments ago.
Well, the guy that really had the great pit stop was Mark Martin. He came out in the lead there. Right now, though, he's trying to get by cars that are trying to make up a lap, and he's using a lot of time there. He's getting closed in on all the cars behind him there that want to take that lead away from him.
That Midas wall camera brought to you by Midas. Go safely, go Midas. Just ahead of the leader, 75 Ted Musgrave. Getting back on the tail end of the lead lap. The yellow 26 car, Johnny Benson, is 2 laps down. But 75 is on the tail end of the lead lap, just ahead of Mark Martin.
I bet these crew chiefs are going just nuts right now. The sun just went behind the cloud again. We're under a lot of shade. As one guy says, I want the car, you know, the sun on the racetrack because my car is really good. Now, look, it's almost dark out there.
Yeah, they just adjusted the cars for sunshine, and now they got clouds.
Jeffrey Bodine is back in 22nd now. Steve Park is 24th. Rusty Wallace is 25th, and the battle for the lead up front.
And John Andretti, whatever they've done to that car, it looks really strong again. He was a little bit off pace before he made the stop. And Bobby Labonte now in the 18 also moving up. Jeff Burton just behind him in the 99. So there's a lot of guys going for the lead right now.
Oh, close, really close. It is so nice to see a guy going for a championship with just 3 races to go with a hammer down the way Dale Jarrett is driving this race today. This is great stuff.
NASCAR timing and scoring brought to you by MCI on net. From MCI WorldCom, your one connection to the world.
Eli, we got all the recipe for a great race right now. You see Mark Martin getting passed there by John Andretti. But Tony Stewart right behind this group right now. And look at that car work on the bottom of the racetrack as he gets under Jeff Burton as they head down the front straightaway.
Let's check in on the John Andretti pit crew.
Well, guys, when I was covering the pit stop, I think I told you, maybe I didn't because there was so much going on down here. But anyway, that last set of tires for John Andretti had made the car really, really loose. So when they brought him in there, Robbie Lewis had him put a round of bite in the right rear car, and it really seems to have fixed the problem. So the car had just gotten a little loose. They snugged it up, and he's good to go again.
A round of bite, buddy, means what for the folks who are new to NASCAR?
Well, it's actually weight down on the left rear to give it more forward bite and really tighten the car up, keep the back end from coming out. Apparently, he was having a little bit of a loose problem, and they put a little more weight on the left rear so it gets more traction and kind of pushes that right front out a little.
Let's look at Tony Stewart pull away. You can see it from this view from Jeff Burton looking forward, going into the corner. Burton gets there. But like on most flat tracks, the guy who can get back on the gas first is usually the guy to beat. And there you see it as Stewart pulls away off the corner.
Yeah, but it's like a magic wand. You don't use it up in one little twirl. You ease into the throttle. If you jump in the throttle, and just because you get back in it quick, you can break the rear wheel loose and slide off the corner instead of getting forward bite.
Ralph, what's Tony Stewart's bunch saying?
Eli, they really hit on the setup after that first pit stop. They had lowered the air pressure a little bit. If you remember at the start of the race, Tony wasn't as quick at the very early stages of the run. As they got past the halfway point of the fuel run, that's when the 20 car really came on strong. After they lowered the air pressure, he was strong in that second run from the beginning of the fuel run all the way through. So they kept the tire pressures exactly the same on this last stop, and they expect that 20 car to be very quick here once again.
Well, Bobby Labonte knows he's plenty quick. He goes right by him and brings Jeff Burton along with. So that is going to move Tony Stewart now up to the 4th spot. Well, Burton to 5th and Bobby Labonte back to 6th.
Well, I think Bobby Labonte, that's a great team. They share so much interest between the two cars there, and I'm sure he saw Tony Stewart and knows that he has a great car, and he just moved over and let him go.
135 laps complete, and as you see, 177 to go.
Todd Musgrave in the 75 car put up a good fight to try and stay on the lead lap. This is one of his best racetracks. In fact, Musgrave's last top 5 was right here in this race last year as Tony Stewart again on the bottom looking for another spot. Wow, is he hooked up? That's bite. That's bite right there. Yep. That's when the car is really working coming out of the corner.
Yeah, and that's an awfully good motor and an awfully good race car, too. Tony Stewart's a great talent, but that race car itself is a good package.
Yeah, you don't do it alone.
And just look, wherever Tony goes, so too the 99. Jeff Burton's just been following in his tire tracks, but this time he doesn't have the oomph to keep up.
Mark said, I think I'm going to take this back.
Stewart keeps running like this. Nobody's going to have the oomph to keep up with him by day's end. This is the same car he won Richmond in. Likes this car very much. Loves this racetrack. We were talking about his open wheel days. His biggest single purse when he was running the USAC sprint cars and midgets and Silver Crown cars and so forth came right here. He won $15,000 when he won a Silver Crown race. Guess what he's made so far this year in Winston Cup? $2.1 million. He's doing a little better here.
It's a true story what I told before on the opening of the show. He said, hey, I watched you guys doing that USAC race last week from Memphis, and there he was. Of course, he has interest in Jason Leffler and what have you. And then he said, and then I ran into him at the World Outlaws race in Las Vegas Wednesday, and he said, well, where else would I be? It's the season finale.
You may see him in more World of Outlaw races as well. He's in the process of putting an outlaw team together for year 2000.
Dale Jarrett leads by 0.7 of a second as the crew makes sure the pictures get to you at home from Phoenix. Back live here at Phoenix International Raceway, Dale Jarrett shows the way by 0.6 of a second on John Andretti. Tony Stewart is only 1.6 seconds behind. Mark Martin 3 seconds in arrears, and 5th place Bobby Labonte 5 seconds behind Dale Jarrett, who's running well and has his sights set on that head table at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. It's been literally a dream season. You see the consistency, 3rd best in miles run this year.
I had a crew chief for another team say on their worst day they're still at the gas pumps when the race is over. That's a compliment, because to get to the gas pumps after the race you have to finish in the top 5. So they know that this car, and between Dale Jarrett being a great mechanic and giving great information to Todd Parrott, that bunch, I mean, the whole group, they really work as a championship group, and that's why they're where they're at this year.
Incredibly, they have only finished out of the top 20 twice all this year. And when you see a deal where you've got a team that's got the most top 5s, the most top 10s, finishing all the races, they've got just one DNF, that upside down at Daytona. That is absolutely, he's got a flat tire. He just radioed in. Dale Jarrett has a flat tire. He just called the crew.
Well, let's see what happens. He is still running, but obviously Andretti closing in from the rear flank.
Eli, he's got a right front going down on that car. I could see it right then. He's losing air. He's trying to go around and make it back to the pits right now, but the car is lifting just a little bit on the right side there.
This is lap number 148. Those leaders who have just swapped around, and now can he get to the pit lane with Stewart there to his inside? Not going to be able to do it, so Dale Jarrett will stay on the racetrack. So Jarrett loses the lead in lap 149.
Oh boy, you see the car trying to go up the hill there.
He just said, definitely, I'm coming in this time. They're going to be ready for him. Todd Parrott said, sit tight, sit tight.
Fighting the wheel a little bit more, turning it just a tick more. Here he comes in now. He's going to make the entrance to the pit lane. Steve, unscheduled stop at lap 150.
Eli, we heard that Dale may just take 2 tires on this stop so as not to lose as much track position. The crew is poised on the wall. Brad Parrott will change the rear tires. We'll take a look and see. Dale Jarrett slides into his pit stall now. They go to the right side of the number 88 of Dale Jarrett. And it looks, in fact, like they will change just right side tires on Dale Jarrett's car.
Boy, that right front looked like it was up.
Boy, it did to me, too. Yeah, when he come down pit road there, I tried to see it flat.
Well, I've been listening to him. I've been eavesdropping on that car for about the last 4 or 5 minutes, and Dale just came on the radio. Boom! I've got a flat tire. And just before he came into the pits, he guessed it was the right front. But you know, with these radios, it's awfully difficult to tell which tire, in fact, is flat. So hopefully for this team and their fans, they've got the right tire.
You see the crews on hand, the photographers from NASCAR Winston Cup scene.
Okay, I seen him put a little circle around like there might have been a pinhole in that thing and it was just leaking down a little bit.
But what that does do is send Jarrett a lap down into 26th position. A costly stop at lap 150. That's why you never know in this business. That's why we run these races. John Andretti is the leader, but by that much on the 20 of Tony Stewart. Now with the new tires, you see Dale Jarrett coming back, and he will certainly get back on the lead lap because with much fresher tires, he'll zip right on by. But Steve, that tire stop was a 70-point tire stop for Dale Jarrett. He was running in 5th. When he came out, he was in 26th. There's a 70-point differential between those 2 positions.
Yeah, Eli, big story down here. I can feel the air coming out of this cut. Now, Brad Parrott, who's one of the tire specialists, took this pop top off a soda can and put it right in the slit. Now, he said somebody off another team saw Dale Jarrett run over a beer can on the front stretch. So, again, he put this in here, and it sure does match.
Wow, that's tough, I'm telling you.
Interesting.
We have a new leader, by the way, Tony Stewart, and this might be ugly because that car is working so well. I look for him to pull away. But you see that when Eli was talking about new tires and what it does, that means that the tire itself is cooler. It gets better traction on the racetrack, and he's moving away from a guy that has a great race car now. In about 10 laps, he'll equalize out because he'll get his tires to the temperature that Tony Stewart has on his car right now.
Tony's led more laps than any driver in the second half of the season. 818 of them before today. Time now, though, for our AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 2,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Here's Glenn.
Well, thanks, Eli. Tires are indeed the story here. You know, I told you a while ago we got a brief glimpse of Jeffrey Bodine when I said it knocked the valve stem out of that tire. Let's take a look at this right here. Phoenix is one of the few racetracks on the circuit that they do not run the inner liner. So this is the valve for the outer liner normally when they have both. But since they don't run the inner liner and outer liner here, they only use one valve stem. So they use the one for the inner liner normally, so it's harder to knock off. The contact between Jeffrey Bodine and Rusty Wallace was so great that it actually clipped this little nut that seals that hole off where the valve stem, where the outer liner normally is. So that's one reason, or that is the reason that Jeffrey Bodine's tire went flat. It clipped that little seal off right there. And also when we saw Dale Jarrett have his problem going into 1, you saw how it ran up the racetrack. There was no inner liner. There was no inner liner in there to help hold that car up.
That is the AutoZone Tech Fact. As you see Tony Stewart putting another lap on Robert Presley, and that is a fact. Nobody able to keep up with Tony Stewart right now. 124.6 miles an hour, his speed on the last lap. Next closest, 124.3 for Mark Martin. So Tony's pulling away. Just joining us, only one caution. It was at lap 120 when Brett Bodine just went up the limited banking and nudged the wall. Nothing significant in the fact that Brett was able to continue after a pit stop. Otherwise, only one of the cars been in the garage. Derek Cope had some problems. They fixed it after 29 laps behind the wall, and he is back out on the racetrack.
You know, after all the racing Tony Stewart has done here, after all the success, 2 wins in midgets, second in the super modified, second in the IRL car, win in the Silver Crown car, I asked him which of all the races he has enjoyed the most, which of all the cars, and he said the Silver Crown. I asked him why. He said, because I always qualify lousy, and I get to watch the race this way. The lead comes to me. He gets to watch the whole thing play out. It's the best seat in the house. Well, he's having a great seat in the house today because there's so many cars on this racetrack. He is constantly passing other people.
Eli, this battle right now is really tightening up as you see Mark Martin all over the back of Andretti as they come off the corner. I think Andretti's car has a little bit of a handling problem. Now Mark dropped back just a little bit coming off the corner.
That is for second and third and fourth. Andretti, Mark Martin, Jeff Burton. Riding with Robert Presley right here, looking forward to the Jeff Burton machine. Again, Robert Presley having been lapped 3 times today. He's running in 41st spot.
You know, riding with Robert Presley, like to say hi to his dad, Bob, longtime racer. Dad is back home struggling with both blood and bone cancer. He's had 6 chemos since Vegas. Doing better. Like to hear that. Let's see you back at the races soon, Robert.
Talk about a great short track.
He was good. Tenacious and tough.
When that red number 4 showed up, he meant business. And I tell you what, many people have wished that they could run short tracks like this guy could.
That must have been a great feeling driving through the gate. You've done it at the big tracks, buddy, when you pulled through Daytona or Talladega, and folks would point and say, that's the guy to beat. That's what it was like for Bob Presley, too.
Yeah, it ain't bad, I can tell you that. This
Second
guy right
place
here.
right there. Swap it around for Mark Martin. He's up to second ahead of Andretti and Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton will just turn right under Andretti. Right now, Andretti's car is not getting the grip that he was getting earlier on.
It'll be just another lap or so. You'd think before Burton makes the pass off the corner. Jeff still getting the good grip off the turn right there. Same thing at the other end of the speedway.
Well, what he has now is a great run down the back straightaway. This is that little turn in the back straightaway that I was talking about. You see Andretti just roll out the throttle, but Bobby Labonte's now closing in. When things go bad on your race car, you don't have time to relax and get yourself back under control. Everybody's trying to pick on him right now because he's not handling well. What a crowd they have here today, Eli.
It's unbelievable. They've added new seats, and they are full to capacity. The leader is Tony Stewart, car number 20. Johnny Benson alongside of him, running in 38th position. He's a couple of laps down. As the audio crew makes sure you get the sounds of NASCAR from Phoenix. No change up front. Tony Stewart by 1 7/10 seconds is the race leader. Where is Dale Jarrett? Remember, he's on the lead lap. There he is, still a goodly distance back, but if he can find a caution flag here sometimes, he'll be able to pull right around, be very much back in the hunt as he goes around Ricky Craven. And on the speed charge, remember, with those new Goodyear Eagles, that's the big factor here. But Jarrett obviously still quickest of the lot with the new tires.
Yeah, he's awfully good. You see him just knifing through there, and he's been on these tires now long enough that they're giving up some. He's got a good race car.
He's also been here before. Remember Martinsville a few weeks ago. He had a flat tire, lost a couple of laps, managed to make it back up again, wound up finishing the race in 10th spot. These guys don't quit. Don't give up on Dale Jarrett yet. He is on the lead lap right now. Wouldn't take much for him to get right back in the thick of it for the win.
Now again, from Dale back to the leader, there is number 20, Tony Stewart, putting a lap on Rusty Wallace, number 26 position. He's in car number 2.
Well, Rusty's having a real problem right now. Glenn Jarrett just told us over on the last break that Rusty knocked the toe end out on that car, and he's really fighting it to keep it under control right now. The car is not up to full throttle.
Let's go to Glenn for a quick update.
Yeah, buddy, just to carry that a little further, I just talked to Robin Pemberton, Rusty's crew chief, and he said that it knocked both the right front and the left front in on the car. Now, if it had knocked them out a little bit, it wouldn't have been quite as bad if it towed them out too much. But it towed the things way, way in, and Rusty has got a double handful right now.
Yeah, it's tough to do. No banking to help you out either. Meanwhile, got to tip our hats to that guy. Chad Little started in 39th position And moments ago, he went by Dale Earnhardt. He went by Bobby Hamilton. He's up to 10th now. Hasn't finished better than 19th at this racetrack. And that was way back in 1988. So Chad Little en route right now to his very best Phoenix performance.
Let me tell you something. Make no mistake about it. This kid can drive a race car. I watched him when he was running Busch Grand National when he and Mark Ripien had that race car.
They won everything.
He won a lot of races, and I tell you, he knows what he's doing out there. This team is getting stronger and stronger every week.
It would be his 4th top 10 finish in 1999 for the John Deere team. If Chad can stay where he is or improve, he's running in 10th, but certainly deserving of a nice call here today. He finds himself 13 seconds behind the race leader, but nevertheless in the top 10. Watch this a lap ago. Johnny Benson and Dave Marcus. Let's take it back about a half minute.
Ow. Old age and treachery.
Wow. Well, that was almost a wham yow.
Well, he probably got nudged. I know Dave Marcus, and he wouldn't do that without a nudge before that.
And there is smoke coming out and caution on the speedway. Sterling Marlin has smoke out of his car, and there he comes to the attention of the crew under caution. Lap 181. The sound you hear in the background is Dale Jarrett yelling thank you, because he now comes all the way around. He's back in the hunt again as we're under caution for Sterling Marlin's problems at lap number 181.
Boy, Rusty almost got his lap back. He got right up to the back of the 20 car there, but couldn't quite make it by to get that lap back.
So only the second caution flag of the afternoon, and it has gotten Dale Jarrett very much back into the mix. So Tony Stewart is the race leader. The leaders had stopped at lap 122, so we are 60 laps into the run. So obviously everybody's going to come in.
Yeah, this is feeding time at the zoo here. You got to have the tires, you got to have the fuel. You also have to make the adjustment because the racetrack consistently changes.
Ralph, here comes Tony.
4,400 RPMs in second gear, Eli. Now, he's been talking about the car needs to roll a little bit better to the center of the corner. They've been really trying to get him, as Greg Zipadelli, the crew chief, says, float the car into the corner. And he wants to really clean the windshield good. He was having a little trouble seeing. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment, and that's all they're planning on doing to this number 20. They can just get it to roll through the center of the corner a little bit better, Steve Burns. This 20, they say, could potentially be a winner.
And same thing for Mark Martin, who just took 4 tires, 16.5 second pit stop. Also an air pressure adjustment on the 6th one, Jared.
Bobby Labonte was just in the 18 Interstate Batteries Pontiac. He also took 4 tires, and they also made a chassis adjustment on his car. The car has been tight since the race started, so they're still trying to free it up a little in the center of the corner.
Well, Tony Stewart's bunch did the job for him. He was first off the pit lane of those who have made their stops. So the Home Depot bunch makes sure that their guy stays in front while Richard Petty's driver, John Andretti, comes out in 5th. Back in a moment. We are back in time for the field to get the 1-to-go signal. We're 1 mile away from the restart. Glenn, what's the deal with Rusty Wallace? He's back in.
Well, Eli came back in. They're stringing the car. You can see the string along the right, the left front there. You see Billy Wilburn up under there. He is adjusting. He is towing that front tire, the left front tire, back out. They put it on the right side already, and this is the second time in for Rusty, but that's what they have to do. They run the screw out on the tie rod end to make that tire tow out more to get it back into its original position so Rusty can have some kind of feel for what the car is trying to do.
Meanwhile, as we get set to go back to green, we'll update you that Mike Skinner is coming down the pit lane again. He has had problems abiding by the pit road speed limit, and there he is coming in for another stop and go. And this time while he's in, Larry McReynolds, the crew chief, says might as well top it off and take care of some more sheet metal problems.
Billy Wilburn, that you were watching working on Rusty Wallace's car, as a racer himself, and a real good one. He's won 7 sprint car races this year.
Beautiful view around this Phoenix International Raceway. Off in the distance there, that's the Gila Indian Reservation. And that famous hillside there between turns 3 and 4, where thousands of fans sit for some of the best viewing at Phoenix. Going green. Lap 188 of 312. In second spot, car number 6. Again, that yellow 26 of Johnny Benson, a couple of laps down in 34th. Then you've got Jeff Burton, the 99. He's running third. We're riding with Jeff. Remember, he likes that high side of what limited banking we have here in Phoenix.
You know, there's 3 Pontiacs in the top 5 right now.
Isn't that something?
It's a good racetrack for Pontiac.
They've got a lot of downforce, and that helps at this racetrack, no doubt about it. These 9 and 11 degree corners that are here, the different configuration of each of these turns, that helps a ton.
You're riding with a pretty good car also. You're riding with Mark Martin down the front straightaway. One good thing about today, with the shade that they have and the sun not directly in their eyes, you don't have the problem getting into turn 1 where the sun absolutely blinds the guys later on in the day.
Talk about those Pontiacs. Pretty good manufacturers championship going on still this year. Ford with 213 points and 13 wins. Chevy with 198 points and 12 wins. And Pontiac with 178 points and 6 wins. So a very, very competitive manufacturers championship.
Yeah, and John Andretti just went by Bobby Labonte like he was stopped going down into the turns just now, so they have that car balanced out pretty good. And Ricky Rudd, great run today in the 10 car.
There you see the Phoenix Fact talking about that Pontiac victory. Strong as Tony Stewart is here, we could see another.
Ricky Rudd's crew chief, Michael McSwain, getting married right after Thanksgiving. Also right after Thanksgiving, the big garage sale, one of the biggest in history. Ricky Rudd is going to auction off all his equipment. 18 cars are involved in that auction, plus a whole lot of machine tools and general equipment. Rudd's shutting down, going to go drive for Robert Yates next year. This car, this number 10, has a Yates engine under the hood for today. Lots of power there.
Yeah, and you can tell it. He's running along. He's been in the top 10 all day today, and he's in 6th right now, and he's looking to take over 5th if he possibly can. You know, we're talking about that streak. Can you imagine winning every year for the amount of time this guy has won?
No, it's remarkable. Ricky right now is 2.7 seconds behind the race leader. But as we said, I guess it was on our telecast a couple of weeks ago from Rockingham, the fact that Ricky Rudd has guys working for him who were in elementary school when the streak began. I mean, that's how long he's been running and winning.
And he still can drive a race car, guys, and that's the thing that Robert Yates knows. And I guarantee you one thing, this guy will be, after that title next year, even though it'll be his first year with Yates, this guy knows how to win, a great driver. And a slick track, I would put him up against anybody.
Or a road course or a high bank track. He is just a great racer.
Yeah, he wasn't bad in Talladega with the Yates motor. He finished 3rd there. So
that's right.
So that's the saga of Ricky Rudd trying to extend his streak for another year on to 17 in a row. But there is Mike Skinner, who with that penalty for the stop and go of earlier for excessive speed on the pit lane is now still on the lead lap, but running back in 24th spot. And that's the chance for us to bring you an update from pit road, and Lowe's knows. So does Ralph.
Well, Eli, Larry McReynolds probably knows more than I do about how this 31 is running. Larry, how is this car running today?
Well, I don't know. We've kind of struggled here all weekend. We got a decent qualifying run in on Friday, and we just keep making major wholesale adjustments on the car. We knocked the right front fender in a while ago, and that's the reason we come back in trying to patch that hole. But I don't know. We're missing something here at Phoenix, and it seems like we're missing it kind of with both cars. And maybe if one of us can figure it out, we can fix it for the next trip here.
Don't forget, Eli, Mike Skinner won here in the first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race.
That's what's happening in the pit area of the Lowe's team. Skinner right now in 24th, as we mentioned, a lap down. Meanwhile, Sterling Marlin brought out that second caution flag of the day back on lap 181. I believe Steve Burns has caught up with him.
Eli, I saw Sterling's number 40 trailing smoke. Sterling, you came in here 15th in points. What put you out here today?
It was a piece of metal laying on the track, and about to start finish line, and somebody run over and kicked it up. I run over it, and it knocked the line off the rear end and burnt the rear end up. So 8 Coors Light team, and we'll be back next week and try to get them there.
Can you get back in the race, Sterling?
Yeah, we're going to put another gear in it and get back out.
So Sterling will be back to run again today. You see the Napa timing and scoring rundown, letting you know where your favorites are at this stage of the day. But if your favorite is that man, you have to know, look no further than the top spot by 0.8 of a second. Stewart leads. Telephone. They got the roasted corn going down there in the area out behind the main grandstand. And that man's got his car going in front of the main grandstands. Tony Stewart, you've got a Pontiac leading a Ford. Then there's another Ford, followed by another Pontiac in fourth. A Ford in fifth, a Pontiac in sixth. And finally, Wally Dallenbach. He is the first Chevrolet, and he is now running in the 7th spot. There's Wally, started 22nd, and is now running in 7th. Ralph, interesting, the first Chevy back in 7th.
Eli, one other thing about the 25 is we've just gotten word that they think they can go the rest of the way. So I don't know if that's true or not, but they're feeling fairly confident. But I don't see how that could possibly be.
He pitted on lap 182. This is a 1-mile racetrack. The race is 312. So what is that? 130 miles worth, 140 miles worth.
If he does that,
if he does that, he'll miss the Homestead race. He'll still be here tearing the car apart. Well, you know, we've seen guys do 60 and 70 and 80 and 90 miles, but that's the distance from lap 182 to 312.
Eli, I have to believe that's a little bit on the bogus side there, because he's running very, very well, and he's not just riding along. He's at one time there, he was catching Bobby Labonte pretty quickly. And by the way, just behind him, Jeff Gordon's still in the race, folks. He's in 8th.
We've not talked much about Jeff. There he is in the DuPont Chevrolet. Just has been riding around. He had dropped a goodly bit back, then came back towards the front again. Just hasn't really been a major story today. He has led 3 of 6 events here over the years. But today he's not really been a huge factor at all.
Told me this weekend that he's put a game room in his house. He's so hooked on these video games.
Yeah,
he's spending tons and tons of time with it. You know who else is? Earnhardt Jr. and Juan Montoya, the champion from kart racing. It seems as if these champion drivers, these young champion drivers, are all hooked on video games, and they'll all tell you that they help with hand-eye coordination.
Well, I'm glad I'm retired, because I'm lousy at it.
Further back, how about Jeffrey Bodine? He's running in 15th spot with Dale Jarrett challenging him right there. So 15th and 16th still on the lead lap.
Clear behind him.
DJ's car not handling as well as he might like.
Did you hear Bodine's radio as Dale Jarrett goes by? You know, one other thing I neglected to mention before, we were watching Wally Dallenbach, but Wally was only 3 points behind Bill Elliott for the 20th spot in the standings. Then you say, well, 20th, that's way back, but that's still a significant amount of money. And he was only 3 points behind Bill Elliott, and Bill was running way back in 28th, so that position is something that Wally's running for today also. Up front, 0.8 of a second. Jeff Burton is the man in second. The sophisticated crew here in Phoenix. Welcome back, everybody, as you look back on some of the pit stops. But Tony Stewart is the man still showing the way. There goes 8th place. Kyle Petty gets around Jeff Gordon, and he brings Jeremy Mayfield with him. So Jeremy and Kyle moving around Jeff Gordon right there. Kyle finished 3rd here in 93, so the fact that he's running this well probably shouldn't surprise us.
And don't fix your set there. There's nothing wrong with your set. That's a new paint job on Jeremy Mayfield's car. is black and silver, as you can well see there.
Right.
And just behind them, the man in black himself has moved into the fight here, Dale Earnhardt.
Mayfield's paint job is honoring the 25th anniversary of Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. And you'll have that same paint scheme next week down in Homestead, Florida.
Kyle Petty having a really, really nice run today. He's in 8th spot right now. His best finish this year has been a 7th. A few weeks ago, he said, on a personal level, I'd say my season has been bad. But the real reason he's been working so hard trying to find sponsorship for the number 43, the number 44, and also for his son Busch Series team. So he's had to take a lot of time away from the garage, a lot of time away from worrying about springs and shocks and gears and all that stuff. That stuff's over now. He's got the sponsorships nailed down. He's focused on his race car, doing a great job and having a fine run here this afternoon.
Well, he better get on the wheel because he's got company. Jeremy Mayfield moves right in on the quarter panel there. These guys are going at it, and you see Earnhardt. He's also right there.
And then behind Earnhardt a couple of spots, you've got Jarrett up to 13th. So things are starting to heat up again as you see Jarrett. Remember, went a lap down, had that unscheduled stop, got his lap back, and now he's back up to 13th spot. He was the beneficiary of that caution flag when Sterling had problems back at lap 181.
Eli, that's the benefits of having a great race car, is to be able to unlap yourself and wait on that caution to come out. If it was a mediocre car, he wouldn't be in the lead lap right now.
Closer to the front, Andretti in 4th, Ricky Rudd in 5th.
Ricky's getting great grip out of the corner. Watch this 10 go down the back straightaway here. Of course, Yates motors don't hurt.
No. Look at the poke he's got coming out of the corner. Wow. I'll tell you what, it's going to be fun watching Ricky Rudd drive for Robert Yates next year. They aren't even together fully as a team yet. These guys have clicked.
And you know, that's been one of the things you talk to a lot of folks, see people in the airport, whatever, and they say, well, I'm a such and such fan, but I'd love to see Ricky Rudd keep that streak going. That seems to be a prevailing thought as he moves up now into the 4th spot. And if the sun can stay out, and you see the distance, you see some broken clouds now, that's all. If the sun can stay out and this track heats up, that's tailor-made for Ricky.
And the other thing about Ricky Rudd, you've never heard anyone say he started a problem on the racetrack. He took care of a few.
Yes, he has.
He don't take a lot of stuff, but I will tell you this. As far as being a nice guy, everybody admires this guy because he does take up for himself, but he never starts trouble.
Meanwhile, Wally Dallenbach now in 7th spot in the Budweiser Chevy. Ralph, what's the latest there?
You know, Eli, sometimes when you hear stuff, you just, even though you report it because that's what they're telling you, you just can't believe it's true. So we went back and double-checked with Tony Furr, and I said, Tony, you really think you can go all the way? He kind of snickered a little bit. He said, well, yeah, I can go all the way if I get one more stop in.
Hey, gets one more tank of fuel, he'd go all the way to Albuquerque. I mean, it's, yeah, they'll have to make one more stop. 130 miles is what they were looking at doing without the benefit of another pit stop, and that is well outside the window of opportunity. 88 laps to go. The leader about to put a lap on Kenny Irwin. He is the 24th place runner in car number 28, and down he will go for a lap. All right. Getting another look at the crew that brings you racing on TNN. Wrenchhead.com is the ultimate online automotive superstore, the only site you need for all of your automotive repair, maintenance, and performance parts. Why not visit them today at www.wrenchhead.com.
Don't do it.
No, I called you Wrenchhead last time.
As great as this guy is running Tony Stewart, there's a guy just behind him back there, Mark Martin, who has turned it up a notch too. He's running in 2nd, and his lap times are right there with Stewart. He dropped back a little bit, got by Burton. Now he really has turned it up another notch. This guy is still in this race by. I would never count out Mark Martin as long as the wheel's turning.
Do you think people really appreciate, as you see some of the numbers, Kyle the quickest? Now, buddy, you talk to folks around your home in the Carolinas, and Dick, you up in Massachusetts. I speak to a lot of folks in Alabama where I live. Do you get a sense that folks really understand what Tony Stewart has done this year? Not only running away with the rookie race, but being 5th in points. I don't think folks really appreciate.
Well, he talked about that a little bit this weekend, and he said that he really hasn't changed with all this. He said, but the people who surround him have changed. That he's really kind of overwhelmed about the lengths people are going to get his autograph. And he said, I'm just an ordinary guy, but he said some folks are starting to treat me like an idol, and frankly, he's a little uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, he's an ordinary guy, about like Joe Louis or somebody else that was the greatest at one time. I tell you, this guy, right, to me, has the most car control, and it's from running the dirt around the country in the Silver Crown cars, the midgets. He has an uncanny ability to get the car a little bit out of shape and catch it right now and motor. He knows how to get back in the throttle without breaking it loose.
But you know what else? He finishes races, and that's got to be appreciated as well. He's only got 1 DNF, and that's a running out of fuel, but 10 top 5s, that's about 1/3 of the races he's run. 19 top 10s, that's about 2/3 of the races he has run. And if he wins today, it'll be his 2nd win this year. No rookie has done that since Davey Allison.
But I will tell you this, I've watched him dominate races just as he's doing right now and have problems near the end of the race. And I don't know why, but it seems like the last 100 laps of the race, this guy right here has a lot of problems, and I've never been able to figure it out. But he ran out of gas one time at Loudon, and everybody was already making up victory speeches for him, and he could have won 5 or 6 races this year.
There you see NASCAR timing and scoring, brought to you by MCI on net. It's your one connection to the world. Good scramble for 5th. Andretti and Bobby Labonte, the 43 and the 18. A couple of Pontiacs right there. Let's go to Ralph on pit road.
Eli, Tony Stewart is in what they call in the world of sports the zone today. His conversations over the radio have been very lighthearted. He's having a lot of fun and making a pass. Just recently, he radioed into his spotter and said, hey, what'd you think of that move? The spotter said, yeah, it's pretty slick. He goes, hey, just trying to put a show on for the fans today. And, buddy, I think you probably know better than any of us. What's it like as a driver when you really find the zone and you really become one with the chassis?
Well, it helps to start with a great race car like he has right there. Also, you watch him, he is very patient. You know, most rookies make a lot of mistakes, but you hardly ever see him put that race car in a spot where he's going to get himself in trouble. Right now, he's able to run right on the bottom of the racetrack. These guys don't want to go another lap down, but there's not much they can do about it because he is very patient. He'll work on these guys, and then he'll motor right by them off the corners. He's just absolutely in a zone right now. His reaction, eye-to-hand coordination is perfect. And this guy, I mean, you go through that time when you're absolutely on top of your game.
That's the 22nd place runner, car 42, Joe Nemechek, who just went a lap down. You see Andretti and Labonte, 5th and 6th, working in and around the number 9. That is Stacy Compton in that number 9 Cartoon Network car. Came over from the RC Cola Dodge in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Maybe going back there as well. They don't have a sponsor for that number 9 car. He told me yesterday that if they don't get a sponsor, he's going right back to truck racing because he's got a terrific deal there. Finished every truck race this year.
Of course, you talk about that. You got Rick Mast still running at the end of all 31 races this year in NASCAR Winston Cup. You know the last drivers to be running at the end of every race in the single season? A couple of times it's happened.
Dale Earnhardt.
Nope, not really. Cale did it in 1977 when he drove for Junior Johnson. And then Dale Earnhardt, 1997. Indeed right. 32 races he was running at the finish in 1997.
What a battle for 5th and 6th right now. John Andretti on the outside in the 43 and Bobby Labonte on the inside. They've been side by side for a couple of laps now. Finally, it looks like Bobby's going to get a good run off the corner there. These guys, they were fighting like it was the last 10 laps out there.
But Glenn, I think the 43, Andretti just kind of gave way a little bit there.
Yeah, Eli, his car has, you know, I told you earlier on they had been fighting a loose condition all race. Well, they kept tightening it up, and now guess what?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they got it too tight. So,
the dreaded push.
He's fighting a little bit of a push. So, I don't know, buddy, which is worse, loose or push?
Well, I will tell you, when you're loose, you can get back in the throttle a little bit. When you're pushing, you have to back off. So I would take a little bit of loose condition over a pushing condition anytime.
Good explanation from Buddy Baker, a Hall of Famer. The lead is still Tony Stewart's in car 20. He goes around Darrell Waltrip, putting him a lap away. As the video guys bring you the pictures from Phoenix. Won't find any two finer guys and bigger fans of NASCAR racing. Brooks and Dunn.
Or better music. Man, I love them, I tell you.
They are super. There's Tony Stewart. He's got a second and a half on Mark Martin. And now 5.8 seconds on Ricky Rudd. Let's take you back through the field. You saw the leader. The 33 is Kenny Schrader. He finds himself in 21st spot. He has just gone a lap down. The 66 Darrell Waltrip, he's 2 laps down in 29th place. Keep tabs on your favorite. There's second place Mark Martin. He's 1.5 seconds behind the leader Tony Stewart. Then you pan back to Rusty Wallace. He right now is in 30th. 2 laps down. Not been a vintage day for Rusty with extensive stay on pit road. Ted Musgrave is in the 75. He's in 31st position. Also a couple of laps down to Tony Stewart, the race leader. Then you come to the 31 car, Mike Skinner. He's running in 22nd, 1 lap down. And the 42 of Joe Nemechek, he's in 23rd, a lap down. So Skinner and Nemechek battling for position. Ricky Craven is number 50. He's in 32nd spot, 2 laps down to our leader, Tony Stewart. Then Ricky Rudd. Ricky is 5.5 seconds behind Tony Stewart as he works in 3rd place right now. Then the 99, Jeff Burton. He is on the lead lap in 4th, 7 seconds behind the leader. And Brett Bodine regretfully dead last right now. He's some 60 laps down in 43rd. Then they span out just a little bit. You find Bobby Labonte in the green, number 18. He is running in 5th spot, 7 seconds back. The 28, Kenny Irwin, he's in 24th spot. He is 2 laps down to the race leader. The 43, John Andretti, he's in 6th. He's 10 seconds back of Tony Stewart. Then the 36, Jerry Nadeau, he's next in your screen. Nadeau in 37th spot. He is 4 laps down. And then the 25, Wally Dallenbach. We told you he's on the lead lap now at 11 seconds back. Kyle Petty is in 8th place. He's 12 seconds back of the race leader. Then you find the 7 of Michael Waltrip, who went down a couple of laps early. He's 3 laps down now in 35th position in the Phillips car. Number 12, that's Jeremy Mayfield with his new paint scheme that we talked about earlier. He's in 9th on the lead lap, 13 seconds back. And then Sterling Marlin, who's in 41st place. Sterling is some 41 laps back after extensive stay in the garage earlier. That's Sterling Marlin. Bill Elliott is in the 94. The 88 is Dale Jarrett. Elliott is now 2 laps down in 32nd, while Jarrett is on the lead lap in 10th. He is 15 seconds behind. Rick Mast is in the number 98 car. He's in 35th, 3 laps down in the Woody Woodpecker entry. Then Stacy Compton, there you see him in the Cartoon Network car. He is 5 laps down in 38th place. The 77 is Robert Presley. He also 5 laps down. He's running in 39th. So Nadeau, Compton, Presley all battling for position on the racetrack. The 4, Bobby Hamilton. He's on the lead lap in 11th. He is 19 seconds behind. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon peels off the racetrack to make a pit stop. Glenn?
Yeah, Eli, and they've changed 4 tires to put fuel in. Jeff was concerned. You know, they almost ran him out the first time. He was concerned about running out again. He's down and way down, but he had only run about 70 laps. They put 4 tires on it, fueled him up, and made a major track bar adjustment. His car just hasn't worked at all since the first pit stop.
So there you see Jeff Gordon taking you back through some of the others on the field. You saw the 4 of Bobby Hamilton. He's in 11th. There's the 3 of Dale Earnhardt. He's running in 12th. He is 14 seconds back of Tony Stewart, still on the lead lap. Then as the field waits for Johnny Benson to come by, he's in 32nd, car number 26. Benson is 3 laps down in 32nd spot. You saw Ricky Craven before, still out there circulating. And you see also the 30. That is right now in the 22nd spot. 97. That's Chad Little running in the 13th position. He too on the lead lap. And the 16, Kevin LePage, he's in 23rd, 2 laps down. Others on the racetrack, you saw Jerry Nadeau a few moments ago. There's 71, Dave Marcus. He's in 38th. Dave is 4 laps down at this stage of the day in the Realtree Chevrolet. Jeffrey Bodine in the number 60 is running in 14th spot. He is some 17 seconds back. And right behind him, Steve Park in the number 1 Pennzoil machine. He is in 15th spot. And the last car we have yet to see, there is Elliott Sadler in 24th spot. He is running 2 laps down. So that's where everybody's doing. Pit stops are taking place for some, but not for that man, Tony Stewart. He has Jimmy Spencer behind him as the graphics crew enjoys graphics with lunch. There is Tony Stewart, still the race leader, but it was not without its scary moments as you see him fighting the steering wheel. Watch what happened on a routine lap.
Tony Stewart goes down in the corner. You can see the back going out on the car. Very close to spinning that car out going down in the corner. Right now he has a great race car, and you get a little complacent when everything's working very, very well. Finally gets by Elliott Sadler there, but he was not going to go up there and just go right by him. He's having to work to get around the racetrack right now.
So Tony Stewart continues as the leader. Dale Earnhardt is in, Ralph, in 11th spot.
4 tires and fuel, and they pull the front fender out a little bit, Eli, as they make some adjustments in the 17.6-second stop. They're still trying to get that 3-car handling properly.
The hood was just up on Jeremy Mayfield. You saw him take his helmet off there, I believe. Yep, you see it being hung up. The day is done for the Mobil 1 team. Oh, heartbreaker right there. Here comes Mike Skinner. He's running in 12th spot right now. Lap number 264. Bobby Hamilton is also in. These are routine stops, and no one will have any problem going from here to the finish. We're at lap 264 of 312, so it's an easy run on a fuel fill from here. Look at that chassis adjustment.
Elliott Sadler's also in the pits. This is Bobby Hamilton in the pits. You see him changing the left sides right now. Already changed right.
So he makes his stop and returns to the wars. They're pushing Mayfield's car to the garage. Here comes Bobby Labonte now off the racetrack. There's the Interstate Batteries machine, lap 266. He'll make his stop, and Ralph, Bobby's 7th as he peels off the track.
Eli, they're all set, ready to go with Bobby Labonte's crew up on the wall, all set to go. They count him in, 3, 2, 1, stop on the sign, they say, and around to the right side goes the crew as they go to work on the 18 machine. No one chassis change to the right rear. And they'll work on the left side now and send Bobby Labonte back out. So just some minor adjustments to the chassis setup to get this car to work a little bit better, and away they go, Glenn.
All right, we're here with Ricky Rudd. We've moved up here. Michael McSwain has brought him in. He was waiting until Bobby Labonte pitted. When he did, he told Ricky to come on in. They talked about 2 tires and 4 tires, but it looks like they're going to do 4. Yes, indeed. They're around to the left side now. That was a little too long to try to stretch it. A little bit of trouble on the right side. This is going to be a little bit of a costly pit stop. Rudd is down and away. 21.2 seconds, Ralph.
Here's Tony Stewart about to come in now, Glenn, as they count him in as well. Tony said they could free this car up just a little bit, but not much. So they talked about making some different adjustments to the car. Doesn't look like they had at one point talked about making a track bar adjustment. Doesn't look like they're going to do that. Maybe just a slight air pressure adjustment, and that will be it. The 20 car, Steve, 17.0.
Ralph, Dale Jarrett is in. He's been complaining of being a little bit tight in this last set of tires. Right side tires are already on. Left side tires are on. Good stop for Dale Jarrett. 16.1 seconds. Mark Martin's in right behind him. They're making a chassis adjustments to the right rear of the number 6 Ford Taurus of Mark Martin. Right side tires are on. Gasoline goes in. And left side tires as well for Mark Martin.
The leader is John Andretti, but here he comes off the racetrack now. There's Andretti, who takes the lead at lap 269, but he will come into pit at lap 270. All of this under green, as has been the story today. Only 2 very brief caution periods. Back to Ralph.
Just waiting for John Andretti to bring the 43 in. He comes around the corner, dives into his pit stall, and the crew goes to work on it. He revs the engine. Tire changes to the right side. Looks like maybe just a 2-tire stop and 1 can of gas. A 9.6-second stop, Eli. Just right side tires and 1 can of gas. And they told him to take it easy on those right side tires now.
So the King and Robbie Loomis said, let's do it. Let's go for the win.
Roll the dice and see what happens.
So everything's cycling around now. The only man who has not yet pitted is Jimmy Spencer, and he will take over the lead at lap 271. So Jimmy Spencer takes over the lead at lap 271, and that's only the 5th time this year that Jimmy has led. He led at Atlanta, Pocono, Sears Point, and Darlington. And now with that move across the stripe, Jimmy Spencer leads here at Phoenix International Raceway.
But you know what? It's the 4th time in a row he's led here at Phoenix. Spencer's another guy that's real good on these racetracks that are flat, slippery, hard to handle. Doing a good job today.
Take a look at something else that happened on the racetrack. We showed you Tony Stewart's problem or near problems there. Watch it.
Oh, man.
He and Chad Little.
Yeah, he don't need to be bending that sheet metal up. I tell you, that will, you could knock a fender in like that and it'd rub a tire, and he would lose that great race car. He don't need to be bumping these other cars.
So Jimmy Spencer shows the way as we continue at Phoenix. The leader is Tony Stewart here at Phoenix International Raceway. Jimmy Spencer was leading when we broke away for a couple of moments, but on those old tires, Tony finally had a chance to move on by because Spencer had the old tires, and Stewart, of course, had made the pit stop for new Goodyears. And that's how the lead effortlessly changed hands.
That is that car good in the center part of the corner. It looks like everybody else has got the brakes on when he gets back in the throttle.
Now again, remember, Andretti with right side tires. The others went all the way around. That's why the disparity in pit stop times. If you're curious right now, Dale Jarrett is in 8th. Bobby Labonte is in 6th. So we only have about an 8-point swing right now as you see Spencer in to make his stop. Jimmy coming off the racetrack. Let's go to the pits.
Yeah, Eli, Jimmy is only going to take 2 tires, right side tires, and the only reason they're doing that, it takes about the same amount of time to put the right side tires on as it does to put a can of fuel in. He is down and away in 10.1 seconds. Pretty good pit stop, but he's still going to lose a lot of track position. It'll definitely move him out of the top 10.
Of course, we're only 29 miles from the finish, so have to wait and see whether he can get anything going with just that 2-tire change. Same gamble that John Andretti's team made a short while ago. We're at lap 281 of 312. The attrition rate has been slim. Only Derek Cope and Jeremy Mayfield are in the garage. We've had 2 very brief cautions, one at lap 120 when Brett Bodine tapped the wall, and one at lap 181 when Sterling Marlin had problems with a rear end gear. Meanwhile, Greg Zipadelli watching Tony Stewart just cruise, but he's also had some close calls. Is Zippy talking to Stewart on the radio?
Well, that's what we want to find out, Eli. First of all, Greg, are you worried about the car after the contact with Chad Little?
It seems to be running fine. That's just about our fastest lap right there. I think we're in pretty good shape. We can stay out of trouble here for another 28 laps. Maybe we'll get our second win here in Phoenix.
Well, that's the second question. How tough is it to keep Tony calm today and out of trouble?
Tony's done an absolute unbelievable job all weekend. He's adapted really well to this place. This whole Home Depot crew has done a great job on the pit road today. We really stepped it up. We did the things we had to do. They kind of got us behind the last 3 or 4 weeks. I'm really proud of them.
Eli, sometimes it's not whether, you just make the error, but how much the error actually costs you. And although they've made a couple little mistakes, they haven't been mistakes they can't overcome.
Indeed so, and you saw he has led 121 laps today. Tony has now clinched the bonus for leading the most laps this afternoon. That's the 5th time in 1999 he's done that.
And Greg Zipadelli, that you just saw and heard from, has just come to a 5-year agreement with Joe Gibbs Racing. He will be there for 5 more years. Tony Stewart working on the same thing. He and Zippy want to stay together as a team as long as they possibly can.
Now, buddy, when Tony comes around, I want you to talk about the right side of his car, because we've seen some contact, and once he makes the turn and we'll get a shot from the outside, we'll get a good look at the right of that Home Depot machine.
Well, a lot of people didn't get to see the crash down the front straightaway where he and Chad Little made contact, but the good part is most of the damage was back on the door there. You see around the number 20 there on the door, a big donut. That's where they made the contact. Thankfully, it wasn't on one of the wheel wells.
Meanwhile, there's a scramble on your screen for 4th spot. The 18, Bobby Labonte. The 43, John Andretti. That is for 4th place. They are 8 seconds now behind the leader. But at this stage of the season, every position means something.
For the people that are home, biting their fingernails, wanting to know where Dale Jarrett is, he's in 7th right now as this battle goes on here. You see Bobby Labonte going right on by him.
One thing we are virtually assured of is that the championship certainly will not wrap up here and is not a mere formality. Of course, points have never really been clinched here. Dale Earnhardt left Phoenix just needing to start the final race of a season back in 1991, but Dale may not quite have that liberty. Going to go down to the wire.
But the magic number was like 19th, and he's well ahead of that right now.
Yeah, magic number was 19th. That's all he had to do to finish, and regardless of what Bobby Labonte did. And right now, Jarrett is running in 7th. We're back in a moment. Interesting stories right there. The 20 is the race leader, Tony Stewart. He is about to put a lap on the number 45 machine of David Green. But nevertheless, Green is in 12th. That is his career best performance back at Talladega in 97. He finished 16th. But David Green, far and away his best performance of his career. That's great to see. A harder working guy you're not going to find.
Yeah, and Eli, you can see the leader is not pulling away from him that quickly. I mean, he's running a good race, but I got to tell anyone that's just turned on their TV set, Tony Stewart is in that zone that Ralph Shaheen was talking about. He's doing everything right. The car is working. It's got great straightaway speed, and I don't see him getting beat right now unless he makes some kind of little mistake right near the end here, because that's a great car and a great driver.
As you see, just 16 laps to go. 5th place, still a good one. Ricky Rudd and Dale Jarrett.
Boy, what a great run for Jarrett. Coming back from losing a lap with that flat tire, worked his way all the way to 6th spot now, challenging for 5th. See how close he came to that wall coming off the 2nd corner.
Hey, Glenn, it could have been a 70-point loss for your brother today, and now, if anything, it's going to be 5 or 8 points, if that much. So that's what the Jarrett family is busy calculating. Lap 297 of 312.
Well, this race for 5th place. Next year, these two guys will be teammates, but you can tell right now this is going to be a good team, multi-car or double-car team here. When you start talking about Ricky Rudd, where he's going to help Dale Jarrett and Dale Jarrett going to help Ricky Rudd is the experience both those guys have and the maturity. They're going to help each other on tests. They're going to make the teams even better than they are right now. And that's scary to the people that run the 88 and the 28 next year.
course, Ricky Rudd still hoping to extend that streak of his to 17 years in a row with at least one victory. If it doesn't happen today, he's got the flat track at Homestead, Florida next week, and then Atlanta, where with Yates' power, you never know. He does have a victory in Atlanta in his career, but the opportunities are down to just another couple, it seems, because today he's not likely to make up 11 seconds and grab a victory.
He'll have one little caution and the whole world changes.
That's
Anything
true.
can happen in racing.
Yeah, and remember 95. Everybody thought, oh, he's not going to do it. Can't possibly happen until he came here. And this was next to the last race in 95 when Ricky Rudd won.
If things remain as is and Tony Stewart wins, it would also keep that streak alive of not seeing guys in the top 10 win here at Phoenix, because Tony started in the 11th spot today, and he said in the pre-race show, no guarantees here, because the top 10 has not yielded the success here that it has at other racetracks. Looking back, there comes Kyle Petty right there in 8th place. Only had a couple of top 10s in 1998. And this would be his 8th top 10 for Kyle this year. Matter of fact, he picks up another spot. He matches best of the year. He's had about 3 7th place finishes, now running in 8th. You know, it seems, and you guys can share your observation too, it's, you know, as fun-loving and as loose and as oftentimes walking to the beat of his own drummer that Kyle is, it seems that in the last part of this season, he's gotten a whole lot more serious about the business of racing because of his son, because of his responsibilities at Petty Enterprises. He seems to be a more mature, more serious Kyle Petty.
Let me tell you, going back to Petty Engineering wasn't the worst move that kid could make. He's back under the influence of his father, Richard Petty, and anyone that knows anything about racing knows that family unity that they have there, that makes these guys, that's what made Richard Petty what he was, with his brother building the motors, his father involved in the race team there. The Petty Enterprise is a very, very strong organization.
And even though he's retired now, Dale Inman's still around. He'll slap Kyle upside the head if he doesn't pay attention. I mean, but it's a good, healthy feeling. Look at that move right there. As Burton and Labonte scramble for a spot, that'll be 3rd place up for grabs.
Labonte knows he has to get up there. He's still in the points race, and every point he can get right now is very important. But passing Jeff Burton like he's doing right now, that's a power move, because Jeff Burton usually gets better near the end of the race. It looks to me like Jeff is having a problem, though, handling right now.
A lot of fire coming out of the exhaust pipe of Jeff Burton's car. That's pretty typical. We see that a lot with the number 99, particularly late in the race. Not a problem. Jack Roush just pours the fuel to it to get as much power out of his engines as he can.
All of this in the heat of the day here in Phoenix. Only 2:55 in the afternoon. 80 degrees plus outside. But with the intermittent cloud cover, the track has never really gotten unmanageable here today.
Yeah, but the sun's popping back out again, and you know some of the cars that were a little more dominant have problems when the racetrack gets hot and slick. Tony Stewart not being one of them, though.
Yeah. Nothing has affected him today. I mean, you know, whether it's hot, whether it's cool, whether it's cloudy, whether it's sunshine. I mean, nothing has taken that Home Depot machine off its rail.
And it kind of started that way when they unloaded that race car. They did their practice laps, took it in, made some changes, and went right back to where they were before they changed anything on the car. And that's the way they timed it.
5 laps to go, Ralph, and it's still 2.8 seconds of a lead.
Eli, first Tony Stewart radioed in. They told him, Tony, just stay calm, stay calm. He said, babe, if I get any calmer, I'd be in a coma. then he pulled up behind the 28 of Kenny Irwin. You might remember those two had a little bit of a scuffle a few weeks back in Martinsville. Tony said, boy, for a guy driving with just half his blood, he's doing a pretty darn good job out here today. I guess you can forget about tough things and your old racing troubles when you're having a good day.
Yeah, and when you can do what he just did there, he passed the car on the outside, turned hard left, went by the 9 car there. When you can do that, it's fun driving a race car. Right now, I guarantee you couldn't pay him the money that he would feel that he being out there in that great race car today is absolutely, he'd drive it for nothing.
You know what else, guys? Bill Sloboda over here just doing some ciphering, as we say. And looks like Ford will clinch the manufacturer's title. We talked about it before. But right now, with a Pontiac leading and a Ford second, and then a Pontiac third, and a Ford, then fourth and fifth and sixth, and a Pontiac, you don't get to a Chevy until you drop way back to ninth spot. If nothing changes right there, Ford will clinch the manufacturer's title here today. And now we've got a couple of laps to go. Less than 2 miles remaining.
Jarrett made a run there on Ricky Rudd just a second ago and got caught up behind a couple of lap cars there and had to back out of the throttle, or he might have got the fifth place away from Ricky Rudd.
All the while, Jarrett, he'll come home fifth or sixth. That'll be enough to continue his way towards a championship. White flag in the air for that man. Tony Stewart, who started 11th, would become only second driver to win 2 races in his rookie season. Davey Allison, the other in 1987. Tony Stewart off the corner. Checkered flag. Tony Stewart wins at Phoenix International Raceway, the 7th Pontiac win of the year. There's a scramble right now for position. That is 10th and 11th. Gordon and Earnhardt. That is for position into turns 3 and 4. For 10th place,
Gordon puts a slide job on him. Earnhardt turned down under him.
Gordon hangs on, grabs the position. 10th for Gordon, 11th for Earnhardt. But Tony Stewart is the winner. His 11th top 5 of the year and his 20th top 10 finish of 1999. Yes, sir, you did it. We're back with victory. Back in Phoenix. Not only has that man won for the 2nd time in his rookie season, he has unofficially moved into 4th place in NASCAR Winston Cup points. Let's go to victory lane.
And Tony Stewart unbuckles all the seat belts and everything else. The helmet jumps up here for a little celebration. Going to destroy the top of the race car, but he didn't get me with the Gatorade. Congratulations, Tony Stewart. What a great race car and what a magnificent job you did in that great race car.
Wasn't me today, it was my pit crew. I mean, they got us out on that last stop and took a 2.5 lead and turned it into a 3-second lead. So it gave me the comfort to go ahead and run where I needed to run.
Well, Tony, you've had some laps on this racetrack. Did that come into play? Did that help? You looked like you were good right from the get-go.
Sure didn't hurt anything. I mean, I've run so many cars here. I know every ounce of this racetrack as far as, you know, whatever the car is doing, how to make it change its handling. So, you know, we had a really good car today, and it wasn't off very far, and we just got to enjoy the ride today.
Now, we heard some of the conversation that you were having with Greg on the radio there, and you seemed to be in a pretty good mood all day long. You kind of knew you had the car to do the job, didn't you?
Yeah, we've needed to get in a good mood again. We've had a rough last 3 races, so, you know, I was in a good mood all weekend. I mean, this is just one of those places that's magic to me, and, you know, for some reason, we just always run good here.
2nd victory of the year, starting this year, your rookie season in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Did you ever think that you would visit victory lane twice?
Shoot, I didn't think I'd show up once, let alone twice. So it's just a great honor. I mean, Joe Gibbs Racing and everybody at Home Depot and Rigid and Husky and, you know, the Goodyear tires were very, very consistent all day today. And this is the man right here. Good job, man.
And he's getting congratulations from his crew chief, Greg Zippodelli. Now, one more thing, Tony, by our count, that moved you back into 4th place in the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings. Another awesome show for a guy in his rookie year.
That's good. I got people calling me every week wanting me to kick Gordon's rear end, so I'm glad I can hold up my end of the deal finally.
Okay, we're going to let him celebrate a little. Give Greg a big hug there, and let's go to round.
Back with lots more right after this. Welcome back, everybody. You see so many families here at Phoenix International Raceway, and parents, when your kids are going out, don't be afraid to ask them where they're going and what they'll be doing. Get to know your kids, their friends, and the parents of your children's friends. The more familiar you are with your kids' surroundings, the easier it is for you to notice if something is wrong. Parents, the anti-drug. Just bring your kids to the racetrack. Always a good way to keep an eye on them and have a great time together. Tony Stewart wins. Mark Martin comes home 2nd. Record crowd. They keep adding seats and adding seats. There you see the Estrella Mountains that ring this racetrack. We're about, 20 miles or so outside of downtown Phoenix. The Bass Pro Shops having their hot air balloon on hand. It's always a festive atmosphere wherever the NASCAR Winston Cup Series goes racing. Let's check out the full field rundown, and that will clinch the manufacturer's title for Ford, because Chevy doesn't come home until way back down there in 9th spot. So Ford, by our calculations, will win the manufacturer's title for 1999. Chad Little finished in 16th, guys, but he had himself a good day. David Green in 12th.
Yeah, he did have, Chad Little had a great run today. A bunch of these guys ran very, very well. The only problem was Tony Stewart was running great.
Yeah, indeed so. Jeffrey Bodine had to settle for 22nd. Unfortunate as well, as he was running early. He was right up there in the top couple or three.
Yeah, they knew he was here, and I'll tell you what, that team is looking better and better. It seems as with each race, they just do better than they did the race before. They'll be a force next year.
And the fellas who were in the garage, either when the day ended or for an extended stay, Jeremy Mayfield, Brett Bodine, and Derek Cope, the first retiree.